So, Nathan Oakley, thank you very much for joining me for this impromptu hangout. I thought I'd listened to some of what Jaron's been doing. I've listened to various different things. I've had my own little thoughts rumbling around in there. And it just struck me that maybe we should bring attention to the peer pressure that exists in the world, in religion, in the flat earth, in the globe. Like, for instance, how Dan Pratt... in religion, in the flat earth.
Every time. What's a peer? What qualifies as being a peer? You're on mute. Great start. Slick.
Hey, nothing but professional here. So, like Dan Pratt, do you remember when Dan Pratt made that apology video for Patricia Steer and anybody else that he'd been abusive to? Do you remember that video?
I do, but I want to know if Dan qualifies as a peer. Would you call Dan one of Patricia's peers?
No. But the reason I mention him is that he made a video and he was almost like crying. It was a very sincere, it was a touching video. It was really sincere. And then he changed his tune because he yielded to the peer pressure. Because I looked at the comments and most of the people were saying, I can't believe you've done this. And they were basically saying to him, yield to our pressure. And he did. So that's why I bring Dan Pratt up.
Hooray for peer pressure.
Hooray for peer pressure. So in the real world that we all live in, we have, as human beings, we engage with the world, with the existence, through two very different kind of apertures or viewpoints. We have, or perspectives. We have the outside world, the shared reality where fire burns and light is light and solid is solid. So the shared reality, the elements of reality that are shared and agreed upon, that a spoon is called a spoon and it's not called a fork, and all of those things for which peers are necessary in order to keep order of what means what and what is what. Okay, but for the same reasons that we have words like dangerous, meaning dangerous, and we agree on what that word means, we also have words like globe and education, and what those words mean. Basically a bit vague, but people generally agree to, push the party line on those principles.
I've been giving this a bit of thought actually just today. Weird. Obviously we're thinking along the same lines, but it was occurring to me that our education system is purely a system of parroting. That's all you had to do. So me, as I felt I was a very poor student. I wasn't in attendance to a lot of lessons. I got high, I got drunk, I partied. I wasn't a good student, but because I could sit and pay attention long enough to listen and repeat, I did okay. In fact, I did quite well, but that's all it required. And at the very early stages of my secondary education, for the Americans, I don't know what that would line up else over there, but in our secondary education here in the UK, in the first year, I learned immediately that you're not to question. It's not for questioning. Your education is there to be understood and repeated back. And that's what they test you on. Have you understood? Can you repeat it back? That's it. That's all that's required of you. And then when you kind of boil that down, you think, well, my wife was saying, well, if our kid wants to go into being a geographer, when we'll let her. I was like, well, I'd be more keen to say, go outside, have a look at stuff, test stuff. That's much more like it, but that's not what our education system is about. You're not going out and testing. You've got a textbook and you're being told what it is. I remember geography lessons quite distinctly looking at stuff in textbooks and learning about isobars and, learning about weather, but it wasn't going out and gathering water samples or, none of that.
Yeah, and now we have a common core and common purpose. And what these things are doing, whereas before we learned about, say, mathematics, that there's an absolute answer to general mathematics. Now, with common core and common purpose, they're instructing children not to arrive at an exact answer, but to learn what a ballpoint approximate answer is. This is what they're teaching children now in schools. So, what are these children going to do when they go to university? When they go to university and they say, well, actually, the orbit of the Earth is this, what they'll say is, the orbit of the Earth is approximately. And there you go. They've hoodwinked the world into thinking that approximate is good enough. So, and one of the reasons for this is that relativity theory is completely collapsing, because new discoveries are saying, look, the general theory of relativity, sorry, the special theory of relativity, if one of the elements proves false, all of it proves false. And it's like, damn it, there seem to be elements that prove it false. So when they're bringing things like the ether or cosmic rays, dark matter and antimatter, these elements which are theoretical only. So, but let me just get back to this. We have, on the outside world, we have the shared reality of things we agree on. And then in that world, there are traps like the globe. And this is a trap. It's a trap for your perception. People see themselves on a globe. They see the stars wheeling overhead and they think that's because they are spinning under those stars. People look at the image of me right now, and because they've had religious iconography with characters with circles behind their heads, they immediately think, look at him. And today I have definitely positioned myself centered.
I was just about to jump in and say, you spent a good couple of minutes before the show.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. So, but people will see this, and rather than see a guy with a red top and a circle behind him, which is what's actually here in this room and on YouTube, they will see a guy who is trying to portray that he has a halo. It's like, no, what the hell is this halo thing? Where does this halo illusion come from? Because it's not in the freaking Bible and Jesus walked around with his head glowing. No, it's not there.
I think there's a fair proportion of people who are watching that are flat earthers and going, why has he got the Gleasons?
Yeah. Well, and so this is the thing about peer pressure. So let me wrap this up. There are two traps that are installed by the same group of people. These people know more, and what they know is that by lying and by setting clever traps, they can manipulate the world. The biggest clever trap for the outside world, the shared world, is the globe. The biggest internal trap for your moments of contemplation, for your time with your thoughts, for your consideration of your life, of events, of whys and wherefores, the trap for your inner world is religion. In the West, we have predominant Christian religion. In the East, they have Hindu or Taoist. The Taoist is maybe a little bit more like a philosophy. And Buddhist. We have Judaism and Islam. And all of these religions, all of them are traps for the minds of the people in those religions. I know lots of Jews who eat pork. They're not Jewish. By way of the thoughts through which they perceive the world, they might as well be atheists. And some of them are. And lots of flat earthers like myself treat the world as if I was an atheist. I treat it as if I was an atheist. You know, I don't find the mind of God there involved setting up instrumental situations. I see that this place was created, that the consciousness is conscious, that the architect is a conscious being, but I don't go any further. I don't suppose that I know how it acts or that I can guess why and how it does things. I'm not that arrogant, but that's what religion does.
Sorry to cut you off right at your pinnacle.
It's okay.
So a couple of times in the past, you've said things like, I think God could be energy.
Yes.
And maybe a religious person could say that I'm just short-sighted in that view and that I'm not seeing that there is a man with a beard. That's how you're kind of phrasing it, that employs those energies. So why would you say that they would think you would have a short-sighted view? And I'll go where I'm leading because you're looking a bit vague. So there's going to be a lot of flat earthers that have come to flat earth through Mark Sargent's clues. And when he describes specifically Christianity, he says that they will bring out the fact that they knew the earth was flat, like the good china. So taking that into consideration, there's a lot of Christian flat earthers who will reference their book. Now, we've just had I call it a debacle, but the no trees nonsense. I'm going to say that now. I'm off the fence on it. So yeah, we've had this no trees thing come along, and there's been a divide in the Christian group more than any over the no trees. It seemed, this is in the aftermath. Nice to have been able to see this while it was going on, but there we go. And in the same way, you've got Christian flat earthers who will reference their book, and I would see that as something that an experimental flat earther would just say, well, that's fine. You can, if you want to use your book as proof of flat earth, that's entirely up to you. No harm, no foul. It had a very different effect with the no trees thing. But ultimately speaking, if you're going to say religion's kind of a nonsense, a trap, it's a peer pressure, whatever, how can you square that circle when it comes to the Christians out there who will use their book in the firm understanding that it's written by God and been, passed down through the ages? How do you square that circle?
Well, the Bible wasn't written by God. The Bible was obviously written by human hands. Now, were the humans writing it inspired by the mind of God? Was the mind of God engaged with their consciousness and taking over their hands and causing them to have automatic writing and create things like the book of Job? If you think that that's what's going on, then hey, maybe the Lord of the Rings or the Silmarillion was exactly the same thing, because the Silmarillion has a much better story of the Genesis. So you either think that God engages like this, and you then buy into the trap, which is God engages with human beings through conscious dialogue and instructs them to tell other people that God has told them things. So there's the whole Judaic religion. Abraham said,
keep a little tally of seriously offensive things you say. So far I've got Genesis versus Lord of the Rings. Well, Lord of the Rings, much better story.
This is not supposed to be. This is not supposed to be offensive. Okay, it genuinely isn't offensive. The reason I'm doing this,
as well as I do, there is no way this conversation will be taken as anything other than offensive by a lot of different groups. You know this. You're smiling. Yes, you know it full well.
Yes, and this is how peer pressure works. This is how peer pressure works. You're offending your tribe. You're offending your family. You're offending whoever. If you're gay, you're offending your ancestors. You're going to end your chain, the heritage or whatever. It's all based on offense. That's how peer pressure basically works. That's the
you know what, Antonio? I think we should call this a day. I don't think this is a good idea.
So this is the thing, Nathan. Okay, the reason I'm doing this, the reason I asked you to come on this hangout, is that I actually had a dream last night that God spoke to me. Okay, God spoke to me, and I'm trying to figure out what it said because I don't speak Arabic. So all I heard was in a strange voice. And I'm trying to figure out what he said. Say again?
I'm sure it wasn't one of Patricia's cats.
Maybe it was. Okay. But this is like, look, guys, Islam, the whole of Islam comes from a guy saying that God was telling him what to tell somebody else to write because he couldn't write. Okay. Muhammad couldn't write. He had a very wealthy wife and he couldn't write. So he got somebody else to write what he was telling them that God was telling him. Okay. It's like, okay. This is another thing, and this bears kind of real serious understanding. All religions are based on personal testimony and reports of personal testimony. All of them. None of them is based on some completely magical thing that nobody can understand. None of them is based on some form, some shape, some thing that is demonstrably not human-made, that must be God-made, apart from the actual freaking earth and all of the humans and everything going on.
What about the Holy Spirit?
Say again?
Holy Spirit.
No. What? Holy Spirit, that everything that exists, exists. Now, to think that within everything existing, with all of the clues there, God needs to speak to people and is male. What's he male for? If he's male, then it means he has a penis. What does he have? What's he got a penis for? It's stupid. So with the peer pressure that's exerted on people to stay on the globe, to not be a retard and think that the world is flat, we have the same peer pressure in religions. You can't leave Islam and become Jewish. Well, you can really. And you can't leave Judaism and become Muslim, but you can really. And all of the religions say you can't, all kinds of stuff, all of which are false. This is what religions do. Your religion is the best one. Your religion is the one that interprets what God wants better than all of the other religions. So if you think about this...
Sorry to interrupt again. There's a slight issue there, because we are sold as having those notions about flat Earth by globelings.
Which notions?
The notion that we are selling flat Earth as a religion.
Oh yes, so this is where we come to. Okay, with the trees, we had this big thing of people saying, maybe they all were trees, giant trees. Other people saying maybe lots of other things. Maybe they just follow the same energetic dynamics as trees follow. Maybe, silica follow those energies. Maybe that's why they look so similar. Who knows? But there was a lot of division and a lot of, don't you be looking into that, which is peer pressure. Okay. Now, one of the things that makes the flat Earth movement, and I hate calling it movement, really, it's an awakening.
I was going to say awakening is a much better word. Yes.
Patricia just whispered over there, awakening, in the voice of God. It's a philosophical movement, is what it is. It's a there's a word for it.
Realization. I mean, yeah. That's the way I view it.
Yes, well, it is. It's just an awakening. It is. It's an awakening and snapping into reality. So I'm still trying to find the word. There's a specific word that is what's happening with the flat Earth. It's the reason the Chinese don't like the Falun Gong. It's ideology. It's an ideology. It's an ideology that says people can lie and warp your view of reality. There is a truth, a fundamental truth that can be discovered by anybody regarding anything that has a truth that can be discovered. So not all things have a truth that can be discovered. For instance, the mind of God. That's not something that can be discovered, at least not from this place, not from this realm. Nobody can actually discover what the mind of God is for. Or
sorry, I'm going to call you up on something that you've said now, because both you and Bob Nodal have postulated this, that we almost are in a fractal way one set of eyes of God. I don't know if I'm phrasing that well.
Yeah,
if you extrapolate that out, you can know. Just sorry.
Yes, but this is the thing, you can't, because you can only know what information you're processing. You can't know what information somebody called Hinja in China,
why not?
You don't know even exists.
Why not?
What he's processing, you can't know what that person is processing.
That's thinking real small. I mean, let's think of, just off the top of my head, propaganda related, obviously. So you've got X-Men, sticks on a helmet, can communicate with everybody. You talk about the collective consciousness. Well, I can extrapolate that out along those lines as well. Why not?
Yes, but I mainly speak about the collective unconscious. So we're not aware of it. The collective consciousness is what we call reality, shared reality.
I mean, I'm really nitpicking,
I know, but the collective consciousness is a great term, but it's really our consensus reality. We live in a consensus reality where it is generally agreed that all men are mortal and all mortal men die, that you have to pay taxes, that there are superiors and inferiors, that there are authority and those without authority. These are all principles that we accept or have accepted until now. And this is
interesting. There was an interesting one that I can't remember who was talking about this, probably yourself, but about I think there were centenarians, people over 100 working in the fields. Well, to my knowledge, the age people would like to get to is probably around 80, I'd guess. That's probably what people mentally think their age should be when they're about to pop their clogs or die. Well, I noticed on a song recently, I think it's called 7 Years, recent pop song. I'm into my pop music. Anyway, his song is about the journey of life, but he gets to 60. And I was like, oh, hang on. Why is this the end of his little journey? Because his old man got to 60 or something along those lines. And I thought this is an interesting, idea that we could literally be telling ourselves, predetermining the age that we die at by general consensus. Well, I should probably live about this long. I'm told by my doctor that these things that I do are probably going to cause me to last this amount of time. And I do this other bad thing on top, so that probably reduces it. There's these things called micromorts that I can measure, all nonsense.
Yes. What are they called in Star Wars? The thing that Luke Skywalker has a lot of, that Anakin Skywalker has?
What? I don't know. Which?
There's some element that they can test from the blood, and similar to what you just mentioned. It's just a made up bullshit thing.
Oh God, I should know my Star Wars. I can't think what you're talking about.
Oh, somebody in the chat will know, I'm sure. So yes, we're told we live a lot longer than people used to live before. So when before? Well, before, at some point when everybody used to die around 40, 45, everyone. Say, wait a second, how do you know that? Have you gone and walked around the graveyards and looked at the ages of the people dead there? Only 500 years ago, we can go and see 92-year-olds, 86-year-olds, way back then. So what is this? And people say, yes, but lots of people died when they were young. So we're not talking about people who died young. We're talking about how old people lived. And like, if you get all the numbers together and you factor in these things and you arrive at an average, right? Well, don't arrive at an average. We're looking at longevity. Longevity is a pretty singular thing. In fact, it's everybody's own life. How long do you live? So when people agree, I think I'll probably die around 60 because that's when my grandfather died and that's when my father died. And well, yeah, okay, you're going to dictate that to yourself. You probably will, But this idea that the consensus reality that we share is something that's dictated by people who know more is bullshit. It genuinely is bullshit. We've been living on a spinning globe all our lives because as children we were told we lived on a spinning globe. Cartoons had spinning globes. All kinds of things had spinning globes. At the same time as we were programmed into thinking we were living on a spinning globe, we were told about this pretty lovely guy who was very clever, very kind, probably pretty cool, and probably even funny because if he was that intelligent, then he was probably pretty sharp and probably a laugh riot. Called Jesus. Jesus.
Oh, Jesus.
Yes, Jesus. We were told about Jesus when we were very, very young, too young to understand the world and too young to question things, just like the globe. That's when we had this inner world prism, and I said prism, not prison, this veil for our inner mind, for our introspective mind, for the way we view our actions, others' actions, for introspection. We had this installed back then, and for the outer world, we had the globe. Sounds like there's a plane crashing outside.
Yeah, there's one coming over me as well. That's weird.
Wow, it's a fighter jet. Oh my God, I think that's a Sidewinder missile. Right, so I don't think you'd see a Sidewinder wind a missile. Anyway, not if it was heading to you. You might see it if it's missing, but not if it's heading to you.
My screen goes dead.
Yeah. So, so the same time as we had the globe installed, we had religion installed. And this is the same everywhere around the world. It can be Islam, Judaism, Christianity, a variation of the Christianity, all of them installed when we were too young to understand. We don't need this. Now we can question it. We can say, hey, who is this God character that said to one guy, tell those guys to let you go or I'll kill all of their firstborn? Who is this character? And who's telling this story? This is supposed to be personal testimony. Who wrote this story? Did Moses write it himself? Did he tell somebody else? What's gone on here? It's just, don't know. It's written in the Bible, and that's the word of God, and you better not question the word of God. Who are we to suppose that we know what the word of God is? Just because something is written in a book. In the life of Brian, Brian asks his mum why women aren't allowed to go to stonings. And her response is, it's written, that's why. That's why women weren't allowed to go to stonings, because it's written. So we have the book of Job. Before doing this, you and I I was trying to coax you into doing a thing with the book of Job. The book of Job is the most ridiculous, absurd thing, and some flat earthers use it as evidence for a flat earth. Okay? No, the book of Job is a completely made up story where Satan goes in with the sons of God, and God says to him, hey, have you seen my faithful servant Job? The guy that I'm pointing out to you is a very faithful guy, and by virtue of me pointing him out to you, you're going to say to me, let me fuck about with him. That's not a very kind deed. You think, if anything, God would shield Job from Satan's actions instead of highlighting him and say, look, that's where he lives. No, it doesn't make sense. It's a bunch of gibberish. It was just a story made up so that people would think that going and giving burnt offerings to the priest, which basically means a piece of the meat that he slaughtered kosher style, is something you should do whether your life is fortunate or unfortunate. That's the crux of the story of Job. And it's just gibberish. And if people don't start to question their religion, then when the guy set up with the flat earth, with the trees, no forests on flat earth, which I thought, dude, this guy's using a lot of very misleading words. Like, what if I tell you that this was 200 million years old? It's a mesa. No, it's not. I can see it's a tree. It's a tree stump. I can see the flowers next to it and the grass. When he says, if you're a flat earther and you don't know about these trees, then you're only half awake. It's like, no. If you're a flat earther and you only know that we're not on a globe, but you don't know that you've been brainwashed by religion, then you're only half awake. Religion is a brainwashing tool. God is not the author of confusion. Religion is. And if anybody's thinking, oh my God, this guy, what? Wow, where does he get these words from? From Ray Hagins, who's a really cool pastor. That's the title of one of his lectures. God is not the author of confusion. Religion is. And if we look at what religion has done, it has divided countries. It was the cause for the British Civil War way back when. It was religion. It was the Catholics versus the Protestants. It was the reason for the war with the Irish, the Protestants versus the Catholics. Again, it was the reason that the Catholics who went to America did all the ethnic cleansing, because their religion said it was okay, because these guys were not Christians. Look at what religion has done, and people will apologize for it and say whether they didn't know as well as we know now. People are still going to religious wars right now. You know, we have a war, Christianity versus Islam. That's what the war is. We can pretend that it isn't, that it's, you know, nationalities, but it isn't. It's Christians versus Muslims.
So if you're saying that Christians are there to, or for the purposes of divide and conquer, why? To what ends?
Brainwashing, control. It's not Christians that are there to divide and conquer. Religion is there to divide and conquer. If the whole world said, dude, I'm not going to listen to you, Imam, or priest or rabbi, I'm not going to listen to you. I'm going to listen to my heart. I'm going to look at and see how the world reflects my actions. That's what I'm going to do. Then what happens? Those who have control and wealth and power and prestige out of bullshit stop having that control and power and prestige. And look at the Vatican, the wealthiest entity on earth, the Vatican. Okay, we think, oh no, it's the Chinese economy. No, it's the Vatican. What do? They hoard stories and books so that other people won't have access to them. And why do they do this? Because they want to give the illusion that they have a lot more power and knowledge than they really do. Now, as such a wealthy entity, it could abolish poverty within a period of 14 to 16 months. Poverty, education, the lack of medicine, the lack of hygiene, all these things could be fixed by one godly entity. And it doesn't do this. Instead, it asks you to give them money and do stuff for them for free, like cleaning the pews and the floors and all of that kind of stuff. Because if you don't, then the poor Jesus who died for your sins, you're kind of insulting him. And this brings me back to the story of Jesus. The way they trick people into Christianity is by saying, here was this really good guy. He was the Son of God, but really he was the God himself. So it was almost like God made a kind of avatar of himself that he has access to, but the character only has access to it a tiny bit, you know, and by some horrible quirk of spiritual nature, he has to die for him to forgive all mankind. Well, why didn't he just say, I think I'm going to forgive all mankind without killing my son? But no, there's deeper things to it that you don't understand. That's why Jesus had to die. Say, no, it's bullshit. Jesus never lived. That's not true. If anybody was born, it was somebody called Emmanuel, and this is a charismatic character that is called Isa, who traveled around the world to Afghanistan, to India. That's the guy. And they don't talk about that guy because that was a real guy. So they don't talk about him because he didn't rise up. Let's not forget, the end of the story of Jesus is that he rises up from the top of a mountain, the ascension. He goes up and becomes brighter as he goes up. His clothes get brighter and brighter, and he goes up into the freaking sky. Now, this sounds like when they had that series, Lost, and they had one way of ending it, but the censor said, no, you can't do that because people wake up too much. End it somehow else. So they ended it in a story that didn't make any sense, okay? Because if all those characters were dead, then what the hell have we been seeing, you know? So...
Sorry, just ching, number 2.
Yeah.
The Ascension.
The Ascension.
Jesus
okay.
didn't exist. Ching, number 3.
Yeah, well, this is the thing, the Ascension. How do you wrap up the story of this character who is now immortal? Because he was killed, but now he's alive. Where is he? If he's immortal, he's still walking around. No, he's not. He rose up, straight up into the sky, into the clouds and went. But he's still alive now in heaven. It's like, that's how you wrap up a story when you don't know how to wrap it up. You know, if you want to be an author, okay, there are certain things that really you shouldn't really do, which is tell an incredible story and at the end of it, have the character, one of the protagonists or the main protagonist, wake up. That's an unfair. It's just, no, you're not allowed to do that. You have to wrap it up some other way. Otherwise, everything that people read would finish with, and then I woke up and I thought, oh, wow, that was an amazing adventure. Okay. And people would not read because they wouldn't really be absorbed because they'd go to the end and say, oh, I woke up. Yeah. And then she woke up. Right. And all of them, it's all about waking up. So wrapping up a story like the one about Jesus, where is he? Oh, he just went up into the sky. How much does somebody have to lie before people say that's a lie? Like in the book of Job, how do they know that Satan went in to talk to the Lord way after Adam and Eve? When was Satan kicked out? Was he kicked out?
There's an answer that Christians will give you, that it's taken on faith.
Yeah. So
well,
how do they know? How do they know any of it?
Well, they just have faith.
Well, it was just made up. All of it. All of it made up. Some of it just, you know, you can't make a story up without having elements of reality. So for instance, if you have a character and this character never ever eats or sleeps or drinks or anything, then people don't start to believe the character. So when you're going to try and brainwash someone, you've got to have elements of truth there. So I read Jack Reacher, okay? Jack Reacher is forever having coffee and big fry-ups. He loves the steak, he loves his fries, he loves his big coffee. He loves this. And every freaking novel, he has it like, God knows how many times. In fact, just about every day, he stops and has something to eat. He needs the sustenance because he's a strong soldier. So it makes him human, okay? Doesn't talk very much about him going to the toilet, but we don't really need those details. So they can't pull a story out like religion without having some elements that reflect reality, like talk about trees and about death and about good and about a bunch of other stuff. They have to have elements that reflect reality. Otherwise, people say, what is this? It might as well be written in Swahili. No offense to anybody who actually reads and writes in Swahili. But it's a gibberish. And what it causes is Adam Joseph Doty, a really freaking good guy, okay? Because of the way he is, because he's a really good guy, and he won't toe the line specifically as the religious people around him want him to toe. So his peer group want him to be a way that's different to how he is, okay? And because he won't do that, they kind of ostracize him. That's what happens. Now, this is a really good guy. It doesn't matter that he's religious. That doesn't matter. That's an aside. Because the truth is, and this is no offense to anybody, but it is going to be offensive, unfortunately, because it's not
all right. You've said no offense, so you're covered.
Oh, brilliant. So, so if religion was a form of contagious psychosis, how would we know? How would we know? It would have to have elements of stuff that cannot be tested, cannot be shown, cannot be proven, seem to be false, have been proven to be false, and are still believed as if they hadn't been proven to be false, and as if they had been proven to be true. That's psychosis. And psychosis is an inner mind thing.
But while you're rattling off this list, the globeheads sound like they're in a form of psychosis then in that case.
Well, we know that they are. This is the thing. This is why I'm comparing religion for the inner mind to globalism for the external world. For the external world, we have this trap of superiority, authority, status, and a whole bunch of things, all of which have a really good interaction and depend on the globe, which depends on superiority, which depends on the globe. And it's this mutually supporting network of ideas that people ascribe to. People subscribe to these ideas. And
there's also the social conformity. So I can't remember where I saw this on a YouTube video recently. It may have even been a Flat Earth that put it up. But a group of, say, 6 people are put into a room, and one of them is the only subject. And that subject is told to cast their vote based on the questions that are given. And they'll be shown a diagram that shows, 4 different lengths of anything. So a line, 4 of them. And they say 3 of them are labeled A, B, C, and 1 has no label. And the one with no label is obviously the same length as A, but all 6 of the other panel members, or 5 if I said 6, I forget, would say that it was B. And the general, I can't remember the exact number, but a very large proportion of people would just conform and agree with the other 6 people because they all said that it was the incorrect answer. So yes. You've got this thing called social conformity. The other one is, I can't remember the name of the effect, but it was described by Clarkson, where you'd have a load of spectators at a racetrack, and a car would crash, and everyone would just stand and watch the person in the car go up in flames, and they'd all stand and look at each other in shock until one guy would actually leap in and try and help the guy. But because everyone's looking around and looking for that cue of someone else to do something about it, no one sort of takes the initiative to actually jump in and do it. However, in the same situation, you're on a deserted road and a car crashes and you are alone, you instinctively immediately run over to that crash, and you will immediately phone the police, phone the ambulance immediately without even thinking about it. But when you're in a group, there's the social dynamics that changes everything.
Yes.
And you will, on the whole, most people will conform and try to toe the social norm. My wife does it when I ask her. I try and put her on the spot all the time, as you'd imagine, about flat Earth. And her answer's always the same. You know, I like the globe. And what I interpret that to mean is life is easier to just conform, to just say, yes, it is a globe. Because if you say it's flat, you're into an argument. You're into people thinking you're nuts. You're into people calling you a retard. Who can be bothered with that? Life is easier to just conform. And that's why most people conform. You call it peer pressure. I might call it social conformity.
It is. It is social conformity that comes by virtue of peer pressure. So, but it is, and it's bystander apathy. The people watching the car crash and all waiting.
That's the one, bystander apathy.
Well, this is the thing. The reason for both the individual in the group who can see the size of these lines, and they're very obviously, you know, it's not almost the same. So you have 4 lines, all of them different lengths, and one line isolated from those. And that line is the same length as one of those 4 or 5, like very obviously the same length. The reason the person answers the same as the group is that the person has thought, what will the group think of me? This thought has gone through their mind. This is the thought that runs along all of the minds that are exhibiting. Yes.
Yeah,
Talk,
Nathan. I'll talk just so it's on me. So you've got A, B, and C, and I don't know how good it's come out on this particular, on my rubbishy webcam, but obviously the one that's not labeled is the same as A. But if you have 3 people, 4 people, or 5 people in a row that all say B, the natural tendency, despite your emotions and logic telling you that the unlabeled line is the same as A, you conform and say B. That's what the test showed. They also did a slightly different version where they would tell the person the wrong time, so they would arrive late, and they'd just be told, well, it's already started, but go in and sit down and just write down your answers. And they showed that the percentage massively dropped when they didn't have to actually vocalize the fact that they disagreed with every other person. They wrote down the correct answer because they weren't going to be judged socially. That's kind of the point.
Yes, and this is how they saw what's going on, and that it's people saying, what will the others think of me? Because they can see that the other people don't have sheets in front of them. They're not writing their answers down. The only one writing the answer is the one that arrived late. So they're thinking, I'm going to say the right answer here to all of them. I don't know why they said B. It's obviously A. I don't know why they said C. It's obviously B. Whatever. Okay. And that person is insulated from the thoughts of others. So the prime driver for peer pressure is, what will others think? This is what David Icke refers to as the sheeple, you know? And it's true. People something will happen, like you described, a car crash, and people look at each other and look at what's going on, and nobody will act because they've thought, what will others think? They might then go on to think, oh, I should jump in there, but others will think that I'm a have-a-go hero, or others, and it's this, others will think. And with religion, it's not just others will think if you vocalize something that goes against your religion, but it's an internal trap. Jesus will think. This character will think that I'm disrespecting him by questioning whether or not he ever existed. By questioning whether or not.
I wasn't going to do this. I was going to do it earlier, then I second guessed myself, but I'm going to do it anyway. You brought him up first. So Adam Joseph Doherty, we have I can't remember what it's called on Skype, but a feed with about 30 or 40 participants, one of which is Jaron, one of which is Adam Joseph Doherty. And after their little spat, you know, Adam, as he does, he won't mind me saying this, I hope, he's sort of pouring his heart out, but he's doing it on this chat feed. Now, I was very conscious of the fact that Jeremy was in this feed but wasn't saying anything, and eventually it got to the point where he said, "Look, I'm sorry, Adam." He apologized and then put WWJD. You know, what would Jesus do? At which point, of course, it sort of diffused it a little bit. It was obviously a joke, but that's exactly what you're saying. You kind of have this idea that lingers with you all the time. What would Jesus say? What would Jesus do? Now, I'm going to add a bit onto this because it's it's quite polarized when you compare it to coming to flat Earth, because it is kind of, or at least maybe it only applies to the atheist globalists that may not have had that idea that you're kind of being watched, or that, you know, your actions have consequences. So for your atheist globaling, it's a totally different mindset when you present flat Earth to them, because suddenly, unlike the religious flat earther, who's maybe been a bit more conscious of what they do. Don't get me wrong, I'm sure there's plenty of evil Christians out there and psychopathic Christians out there. But on the most part, you know, the Christian idealistic, or the idealism of Christianity, is to be a good person. You know, it's a good set of rules to go by on the whole. You know, it's a good way of being, you know, that's the general idea. I'm not going to pigeonhole all of them that way. But when you present the idea that you might, that you're in a created world, as opposed to something that's just burst out of nothing, there's globalists that would shy away from that, because suddenly you have to apply that. It's not really what would Jesus do, but that kind of internal, well, you know, everything I've done may have consequences. Everything I've done may have been, you know, viewed in some way, shape or form, or never go away in another shape or form. You know, I can't just leave the skeletons in the closet anymore. That's, like I say, it might just be the atheist globalings that have exhibited this particular behavior. I know you've experienced it on loads of occasions with people that just don't want to know about a flat Earth, because it could be that they're, I'm definitely not going to name and shame anybody here, but, you know, the people that have got skeletons in their closet, the people that have got stuff that they might be ashamed of, that they don't want to face up to. I mean, there's the other kind of people, when we talk about this group dynamic, I've always personally been of the, I have to swear, I couldn't give a flying fuck kind of attitude. I'll do what I want. It gets me sacked quite frequently, I'll be honest. But it's one of those, you know, that's kind of my attitude in life. I'll do what I think is best, regardless of what you're telling me or what the general consensus is. I don't care. This is my life. I'll do it the way I see fit.
Yes, but you said a word there, how I see it best. Yeah. So I doubt that you think, I think I'll slash everyone's tires in the car park today. You're not going to have that kind of thought, because that's not the best thing to do, you know.
I don't know. It depends how much you piss me off on this show.
I did want to put some potatoes in some exhaust.
That's it.
So, with the globaling mind, yes, they don't have what would the consciousness that created this whole world think of me. Instead, they solely consider what will my peers think, which is why they won't go on camera, Jem Panda. They don't want their peers to think ill or low of them. This is what it is. It's the same element as bystander apathy. It's the same thing. What will my peers think of me? And that brings inaction. So you have the atheists, what will my peers think of me? The Christians, what will my peers, the religious, sorry, I don't want to single out Christians. The religious, what will my peers think of me? And then the inner world, I don't give a fuck if nobody finds out about this thing. I'm going to do it anyway. I don't give a fuck if people do find out. That mentality with both, because even Christians have, and even the Jews have Yom Kippur. They have the week of atonement. It's actually a day of atonement, but it's, you know, the Day of Atonement. It's a day that they dedicate to saying that they're sorry for what they've done, and their slate is wiped clean. And that's exactly what Jesus does for all of the Christians. No matter what you've done, if you ask his forgiveness, you're forgiven. If you genuinely want his forgiveness, you're forgiven. So you can be a child murderer, a rapist, whatever you want to be. As long as at the last minute you're genuinely sorry, you're forgiven. Now, I don't know about you, but if somebody did something bad to a relative of mine, I would detest any being that said to me, oh, don't be angry about what they've done. I've forgiven them. I'd say, well, fuck you. Who the fuck are you to forgive somebody who's hurt my feelings, not yours? You know? So anyway, that's a little bit vitriolic. What I'm saying is we have two things that are traps in the world. One is the globe and the other is religion. And if the religious people don't see this, then they're trapped. They're genuinely trapped. And they're trapped into something that has built-in defense mechanisms. Just like the globe has the built-in theories as the defense that we see from Red's rhetoric and people like that. Religion has the self-defense mechanisms, and they're to do with guilt and with fear, basically. Fear and guilt. You would feel guilty betraying Jesus because it's such a lovely character. And you probably fear God if you kind of disrespect his son. And it's just, why live life with lies installed in your psyche and not question whether those lies are valid or not?
Because it's easier. I can give you the answer. So because it's easier. So this is where I'm glad you've got to that question. What do I tell next man? So next man says, all right, you know, blah, blah, blah. Earth is flat, you say. Yeah. You get to that stage with random Joe. Do I tell him that in order to accept this, he's just got to not give a toss about what anybody thinks anymore? Because that's essentially what you've got to do. I mean, we had this conversation off air with David Weiss just before the show started about how perhaps the tables have turned. There's plenty of flat earthers that just don't care about, you know, discussing the globe. It's like, it's dead. It's pointless. It's, why do I need to listen to your nonsense globe proofs? I've heard them 100 times. I don't need it. Don't get me wrong, David Weiss is very much of the attitude, you know, give them one spoonful of it. Hopefully you'll set them on their track. Me, I'm a bit, I don't care as much maybe. But either way, you reach a point where you think, well, it has gone past that tipping point. You know, I don't care about your rubbishy globe proofs anymore. It's a nonsense. It is just nonsense. Why even entertain it? So, but in order to reach that point, I've had to say to my mother, let's keep it real personal. Everyone in the audience is going to have had or has a mother, and you have to turn around to your mother and go, I don't believe any of it. The stuff you believe and have taught me and have said is correct. And you have to essentially say, I no longer want to care about how you feel about me, because you know damn well they're going to think negatively.
Well, yes.
So what do you say to that person? Do you say, yeah, you've just got to give up caring about other people's opinion? Or go along with the standard rhetoric of life, because that's the standard system that we live in? Well,
this is why the thing that we call love, which is a real thing, that the Communist Manifesto, the Stalin asked for, the thing that had the McCarthy era so freaking paranoid, because Stalin had actually drawn up a means by which communism could win. One of the things it had to destroy was love. Okay, because love is so strong that you will carry on loving someone even if they disapprove of you, and even if you disapprove of them, you will still love them. Okay, so we've veered away from natural love, which is you just love something. You don't ask for payment, you don't ask for love back, you just love it. Okay, we've changed that to I love you as long as. Okay, now that's not love, and this is one of the important things. Religion is supposed to be about love. So religion is supposed to be about unconditional love. But there's all kinds of freaking conditions there. You'll be forgiven on the condition that you ask for forgiveness. Now, well, then it's not unconditional love, is it? And this is these critical thinking will allow you to see whether or not you're trapped, okay? But if you're skirting around certain subjects and not questioning certain subjects because of some inner fear, some inner aversion to questioning those things, that's the trap. And that's it. You know, those are the limits of your mental cage. You go this far, but no further. And it gets to existentialism. But this is what we're talking about. We're talking about existence. We are human beings who exist as human beings right now. We don't fully understand what we are. We don't fully understand whether our consciousness is a local thing or whether it's a received signal from somewhere else. We don't understand why there's weight loss when somebody dies. We don't understand why there are lots of things. Instead, we've been led to believe that, one, we can understand the nature of the world. This spinning globe started with a big bang. Don't question what caused the big bang. There wasn't a before then, so there can't have been something causing, so never mind that. So we can figure it all out. We can figure the shape of the world, and we can figure what God wants. And it's like, no, that's arrogant. You can't figure what God wants. And that's why we have Allah, and we have Krishna, and we have Yahweh, and we have these various different gods, all of which are fundamentally saying the same thing. Be kind to each other. Oh, I'll subscribe to that. Now, be kind to each other, and there come the conditions, okay? You don't need to. You don't need to follow anything like that. You can just take the original idea, be kind to each other, and go and be kind to each other, without doing it in the name of any god, in the name of any religion, in the name of anything. You can just go and do that.
In actuality, again, I'm going to have to use Adam as an example here because he's told us about this. I hope he doesn't mind. He's probably watching this screaming. So yeah, he was telling us about his wife being accosted in the street by one of the fellow church members, and for his views, they've accosted her when he's not with her, and she's come home upset because they've challenged her in the street.
Look, this is how manipulative some religious people are. Okay, this is what the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints do. These are the Mormons, okay, who go out on missions. They become missionaries for 2 years. They have to live away from home and do their mission, which is try to find other people to save. Okay, this is what they do, and I know this for a fact. They say, do you know that if you become baptized into the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, any of your ancestors, going back, I think it might be 3 generations, but it might be more, any of your ancestors that might have died and be in purgatory are allowed into heaven, because that was the intent of your baptism. You baptize yourself and you ask the Lord, Jesus, to forgive those people in case they haven't asked for his forgiveness. Okay, this is what they do. Oh, your father died recently. Oh, that's a shame. But hey, at least you can save him from purgatory. Just, jump into our church. And there you go. It's written that he'll be forgiven. That is how these people work. Okay, these are insipid, insidious people that do cunning, nasty things. And this doesn't mean that they are cunning, nasty people.
I was about to add that, because there's a lot of people who'll be doing this that are doing it with the kindest of hearts you can imagine. Yes. And Adam Joseph Doherty, not that he's a Mormon, but he's a very, very kind Christian. And there are Christians, and every single religion you've named on this show tonight, there are good people in abundance in all of them.
Yes, yes. And now this is the thing. The people that follow these kind of instructions, go and tell someone that their beloved auntie, uncle, grandfather, whomever will be forgiven if they join the church. Those people believe that. They believe that Jesus said, I tell you what, I've made a new decision. It's not just people who ask my forgiveness that I'll forgive. I'll also forgive people if somebody else asks me to forgive that third party. This is what they genuinely believe. And this is not nice. This is not good, okay? Now, the reason people do this, and this is why it's such a cunning trap, is once you have this installed, unless you go and you spend time looking to see whether or not it would be a benevolent thing to do to uninstall the lie, unless you dedicate yourself to critically thinking about whether or not any of the stories in the Bible are true. Not might be or could be, but are. And then which might be or could be and are lies. Which ones are lies? Which ones are true? Why is there confusion? All of these questions, if you don't ask these questions and not ask them, arrive at an answer, well, I'm not intelligent enough to analytically study this situation, so I'm going to put it to the side and I'll go carry on thinking that Jesus is looking after me. If you're not prepared to do that, then you might be doing the same as the Mormons, who pass on an insidious message, which is basically join our church, give us 1/10 of your earnings, of your savings, sorry, every month, give us 1/10 of your savings from your salary, and go and tell other people to join your church and also give us 1/10. This is how the Vatican got as rich as it did, apart from all the thieving and stealing that they did at the beginning. After that, most of it's been voluntary. People genuinely give them money thinking it's going to go and help Africans or people in cultures that they know nothing about, because their propagandized television has told them they're all starving, they're all poor, ignorant black people. Say, wait a second, they have cultures that are far older than any of ours in the West, and we think we're superior to them. Well, let's see what happens when, you know, Armageddon kicks off. Let's see who survives and who doesn't. Is it going to be the guys that rely on petrol and electricity, or the guys that can survive in the wild? And not that all Africans can survive in the wild. I'm not painting them with that brush, okay? But the point is, when anything uses propaganda to get your attention and your approval, you should immediately distrust it. And that's what religion does. And on that basis alone, you can just discard it because it's using propaganda for you to engage with it.
I was going to say you've hit on the ultimate peer pressure device, which is propaganda. I know John Le Bon's keen to highlight the fact that it's now been relabeled as public relations, but ultimately speaking, all of the communications that we receive through our news broadcasts are certainly 100% propagandized. And this is something I've only come to the realization of since being in Flat Earth, or discovering the grand scale of it all. You know, if the foundations of everything they're telling you on the news is based upon the fact that we live on a globe, you know, it's always global news. The language they use for a start is always going to be pushing that lie. Then you have to kind of disregard all of it. I never liked the news anyway, but to kind of slowly eke towards it being literally all nonsense, completely propagandized, is quite an eye-opener to most people. I certainly know, again, I'll make it direct for everyone here, they've all had or have a father. When I talk to my dad about this, it just blows his mind. The fact that any of it could be news that's lies, it's just a step too far. You know, well, why would they lie about this particular story? It just doesn't make any sense to me. You know, but until you realize the grand scale of the lies, how big it gets. And I will say this till I'm blue in the face, the globe is the biggest lie in human history, but it's just bigger than any other lie there ever is going to be. When people say 9/11 is, you know, it's distracting from 9/11, what a joke. No offense, it's just a joke by comparative standards. The fact that the earth is flat, holy crap, that's a massive deal. And, you know, there's a good reason why, again, I can't remember who did this particular comparison. It was probably Dave Weiss. But you can talk about anything you like. You can say that you're interested in aliens. You can say that you think people are lizards. You can say that you're talking to spirits. And most of the time people are going, oh, right. And they might behind your back go, nutter, you know. But it won't generate an immediate hate response and a load of vitriol and a load of arguments on the spot from the person that you say that to. When you say that you're a flat earther to somebody, people will blow a fuse on the spot. You know, they'll get really angry with you. You think, why is it that this astronomy-based subject is making you so angry? You know, surely you should just not care. But it will get people to the point of anger almost immediately. You know, how could you possibly think that you are an idiot?
Yes. So how could you possibly question religion or Christianity? You must be a Luciferian. You must think that Lucifer is Lord and say, whoa, hold on a second. What does your Bible say about Lucifer at this stage? Does it say that Lucifer is Lord of this world? Yes. Does it say he will be Lord of this world for 1,000 years? Yes. Have we finished that 1,000 years? Yes. You need to look at your scripture. It says the dragon, Lucifer, will be thrown down in chains and kept for 1,000 years and then released to wreak havoc and lies and distortions and delusions for 1,000 years. So 1,000 years in chains, then 1,000 years running the world. Well, we're in 2016. That's already finished. Where is the kingdom of God? Where is the rapture? Where is Jesus coming back? It's definitely not called Stephen, you know.
I don't know. I might hazard an answer for one of those questions though. Where's the kingdom of God? I'm realizing it more and more. It's all around us. We are in paradise. The place we live is awesome. I mean, I used to travel all over the world, and every time I got back, didn't matter where I came from, I would say, where we are right now, we are the center of the world here in England. This is fantastic. Now, you get lots of patriotic Americans, waving the Star Spangled Banner, saying that it's, the best place on earth. And you kind of think, well, yeah, you're just doing the same thing. But I do think, genuinely, this is paradise. We are so blessed. The world is a wonderful place.
Well,
I'll just get to the end of my point. I videotaped, and I put this up on YouTube, actually, on Oakley Cord. My dad, whenever he gets a newborn child, and there's quite a few grandkids that he's got now, he'll start jokingly telling them about world affairs. And it's always depressing. And he's like, oh, I'll tell you about how terrible the world is. There's Al-Qaeda, or there's ISIS, or there's, whoever. There's always some tragedy. And all of the general news that he gives to the newborn child that can't understand is depressing. Seriously depressing. You think, well, the world's not like that. You said about Bill Hicks and his sketch, there's bombs and there's shooting and there's people dying. You open the window and it's, birds tweeting. It's totally different.
So if we think about it, there's enough wealth and there's enough abundance on this earth and enough know-how and enough will to make this place an Eden, to make it idyllic. There really is. It's not outside the realm of possibility. It's not difficult. This is the thing. It's not even difficult. Okay. All it would take would be for those that get in the way of things being better to stop getting in the way, and things would naturally grow towards better. So if we think some external godly power has to intercede, then things are never going to get better. And you can think that the world is being run by Luciferians. It doesn't matter. Those people are deluded too, because Lucifer doesn't exist. This is a story. Satan, the enemy, doesn't exist. The Father God doesn't exist. What exists is something that you can't describe, that you don't know, that you don't have the foggiest idea of, that made things. Now, this could be a group of things, a group of energies, a group of who knows what, but that it was this one thing. Now, unless you want to call it a surname, okay, this one singular thing, this comes from religion. This idea of this one God, it comes from religion. It's not a natural thing. Nobody would think, oh, look at that house. I bet that was built by one man. No, it's not a natural idea to think that there's one. In fact, if you trace back at the history of religions, it's only for the past maybe just over 1,000 years that it's been mainly one gods, Yahweh and Allah and Krishna. It's still not more than, it's still more than one, but each one says that's the main one. And also in the Bible it says you won't have any other gods before me. Oh, so there's other gods, are there? you know, it's just look at the details. You'll see it's lies. And the idea that there's one is a lie. And you can say, well, how do you know that it's a lie? Well, I can tell you it's a lie because lots of people are telling you it's true and they don't know that it's true. So they're lying, telling you it's true and that they know. Jehovah's Witnesses call themselves Jehovah's Witnesses. One of the commandments is, thou shalt not bear false witness. And these guys are false witnesses all the time. And they can say, oh, no, they mean in court. No, they don't. The words say, don't bear false witness. Okay. And they go around calling themselves Jehovah's Witnesses. Okay. So this idea that there's one singular unit that you can somehow interpret or understand or communicates and gives hints to other human beings who wrote them down thousands of years ago for you to interpret after many translations, is just such a silly, stupid idea.
So why was Brian and his mother going to the stoning? The person that was being stoned, what were they accused of?
Well, he was accused of having said to his wife that that piece of halibut was good enough for Jehovah.
And you can't say the name of the Lord, so he got stoned.
Yes. And then you have religious education where they say, oh, you're not allowed to say, oh, God, because that's using the Lord's name in vain. The Lord's name is not God. The Lord's name is either Jesus or Yahweh or Tetragrammaton. Okay, because that's the actual name in the Bible of the four letters that we know as YHWH, Yahweh. Okay, Tetragrammaton is depicted in the book of Revelations as a triangle with four sides, one of which is hidden. That's a tetrahedron. That's a geometrical shape. Now, Douglas Adams wrote The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, in which the precedent of the universe is a hyper-intelligent shade of blue caught in a prism. Okay? Now, the Bible tells you it's a freaking triangle. That's God. It's a triangle with four sides. That's a tetrahedron, a three-sided pyramid, which has three sides, including the bottom, one of which you can't see, which is the bottom. Each side has one word, one letter, YHWH. That's only something that can have four sides and three triangular shape. It's a tetrahedron. Okay. Now, Lord Stephen Christ kind of misinterpreted that a little bit and thought that it was a pyramid, a double pyramid. No, sorry, he just misinterpreted. But the point is, when people describe to you stuff that they can't possibly know, they're talking shit. And I'm going to say, I could be talking shit. I'm not, but I could be. I'm saying nobody knows what God is. Now, if you want to say, oh, well, some people do, then, well, okay, can you prove it? Because I don't have to prove a negative. You have to prove the positive. The burden of proof is always on the person who says that there's a positive answer to something, that something can be found. Not on the person who says it can't. It's on the person that says it can. So the burden of proof is on the person who says, yes, some people do know what God is or do know about God. They don't. They say they do. And what happens? You give them things for free. You give them prestige. You give them respect. You give them money.
Ah, the JLB approach. The burden of proof is on you, my friend.
It is. Well, it is. This is the thing. It really is. And I sit here with this halo around my head, which I know some Christians are going to be really offended by, even though this iconography of the halo didn't exist in the days of Jesus. Do you understand? In the days of Jesus, of the fictitious Jesus, inserted in the history books of the religious texts of the Bible, you know, decided at the Council of Nicaea, this iconography didn't exist. This was a way for painters, artists, to depict who was the Holy One in the picture.
Matt Powland talked about this when I interviewed him. He was talking about not being able to paint angels with their feet on the ground. And when it was done, he was like, wow, that's how my angels are. They're on the ground. And it was blasphemy.
It was.
His connection, which in a very Matt Powland way was made about 25 minutes later off the back of a different subject. But his point was the current blasphemy is the globe. You're not allowed to question the globe. It is the current religion, scientism, and you're not allowed to question it. The globe is God. You can't question it, and it's considered blasphemy too. I'm sure he even made reference to a particular law that said you're not allowed to hold it in disrepute or something like that. I'd have to watch the interview again, but it is definitely on the bit that made it to the archive. But yeah, so interesting one. Our new God, the globe.
Well, this is the thing. We have, like I said right at the start, we have these, as human beings, we interact with existence through two different windows, if you want to look at it that way, through a window that looks out and a window that looks inwardly. So we have the shared reality of everything outside of us, including our body, and then the not shared reality of the internal world, which is private, individual, unique. But in that reality, we have religions installed, ideas, concepts installed in us at the same stage as we had the globe installed. And these tell us about how great Muhammad was and how God saw him as the perfect vehicle to be his great imam, the great person that would explain to the world what God wanted. That was what was installed in the minds of the Muslims. And every day they should take time to calm themselves down, to contemplate existence, to contemplate goodness, to contemplate the will of God, and pray and bow and say, yes, I will. And that is Islam, the most evil religion in the world. No, the Muslims, this is this thing that we have. The Jews, you can't really talk about the Jews because you're anti-Semitic. You can't talk about the Muslims. Well, you can because we're at war with them. And you can't talk about the Christians because they're your peers. What are you doing? Say, no. The truth is, just like we can criticize the globe and say it's a bunch of bullshit, we can say that Judaism, Islam, and Christianity, and pretty much all of the others, are also bullshit. Now that they have good ideas, that they have good tools for expressing benevolence in the world, doesn't make them more or less valid. An atheist helping take rubble away from a disaster is worth just as much as a Christian or a Buddhist or a Muslim or anybody else who's doing the same thing. It's the actions, it's the interaction you have with the world that declares whether or not you've had a good go at being a good human being. It's how we behave. And we know with the globelings, they throw all the insults. And with the, look, this is a thing about insults. The word bastard is a Christian word that did not exist before Christianity. It didn't exist. It was created by Christians to say these people had a child and they had not given the priest some money to get them married. That's what a bastard is. It was created by Christians, not by Muslims or Buddhists or anybody else. By Christians, in fact, by Catholics. That's what the word bastard means.
You've reminded me of a little bit in Red Dwarf. I think I've talked about this before, but you talk about being a good person. And on Red Dwarf, they had a character called the Inquisitor. And what the Inquisitor did was asked people throughout history, so he was a time traveler, to justify their existence. And what he actually did was he had a mask, and he would lift his mask and it would be yourself, and you'd have to justify your own existence. And what the cat, the character who is a cat, he's basically a human, but he's evolved from cats into what looks like a human. And he says, I've brought pleasure to the world because I have such a beautiful ass. And himself, the Inquisitor, though, says to him, well, isn't that a pretty shallow argument? He says, well, yeah, a shallow argument, but I'm a very shallow guy. Shallow guy with a nice ass. And he manages to justify his own existence. In other words, by his own low standards, he has justified his existence. Whereas the other character, Lister, gives him a load of back chatter, argues the toss. Why should I have to justify myself to you? You know, spin on it, all this sort of stuff. And the Inquisitor says, you were capable of so much more, but you just chose not to exercise any of your abilities. You just chose to be a slob. Therefore, you do not justify your own existence, and you will be replaced. Everything you've done will be deleted from history, and you'll just be replaced with somebody who's more worthy of existence. So, not that I'm suggesting that anybody's going to get to the pearly gates and face themselves and have to justify their own existence, but in a very literal way, you should kind of try and do that on a daily basis. That's a much better way of kind of looking at things. Am I doing something that's worthy of me being here? You know, if doing nothing is something you enjoy, then that's worthy of doing. It's not something to feel guilty of. You know, anything you do you can have a good feeling about what you've done. But on the other hand, if you do something terrible, chances are you'll feel bad about it. There's a certain section of society that doesn't. But on the whole, if you do something bad, you'll feel guilty. This brings me to my point. When you're on a globe, you can put that skeleton in the closet, literally take that idea out of your mind, put it to the back of it, and forget about it. When you're on a flat earth, there's a difference of attitude that precludes you from doing that. The self-analysis is always going to be there to say, hang on, should I be doing this? And where you might have said, nah, but I'll get away with it, nobody will ever know. No, you can no longer have that attitude.
Well,
sorry, go on.
So what you're saying is true, apart from the religious on the flat earth. The religious on the flat earth say the world is flat, but I can still be judgmental of anybody who's not my religion. I can be judgmental of anybody who sees the world differently to how I see it. And I can be judgmental of anybody who criticizes my religion. Because obviously they don't know my religion, because they're not my religion. If they were my religion, they'd know it and they'd be like me. It's like, no, people like us are pointing out that your religion is unfortunately just as much bullshit as the idea that those big structures in the Nevada desert used to be trees. It's bullshit. It's not true. There never was a character called Jesus. There never was a character called Abraham. Moses didn't free the Israelites. Israel didn't exist until well after the supposed Exodus. So they weren't captured Jews. So they weren't his people. Just look, but this is the thing. You have fear of looking without removing God, the Bible. You can't take your concept of yourself entwined in the religious world, detach yourself from it, look at the Bible and you, and say, oh my God, this is bullshit. Who the hell wrote this story of Job, the greatest man in the East? Must have been greater. It was from us. That's kind of just past Jordan kind of region. That's not China. What about the Emperor of China? I bet he was way more freaking wealthy than this guy, but it says that he was the greatest. Well, the guy in China must have been greater, you know, but no. If you've not questioned, how the hell did Satan go into this meeting with the sons of God, by the way, sons, plural? What is this? What is this? What's this story? Who made this story up? You can't do this if you're religious. And I don't mean you're not allowed to do it. I mean, you genuinely cannot do it. Your brain is not able to do it because you can't filter out your religious thoughts. You have to spend a long time in a process of unbrainwashing. You have been brainwashed. Just like you were brainwashed into the globe, you were brainwashed into your religion. This is why Christians are Christians and Muslims are Muslims and all the other religions. Every single one brainwashed by people who didn't understand that they themselves had been brainwashed. Now, there are definitely, in the Christian world, there are definitely preachers, these evangelical, who know that they are hoodwinking the world, that they are hoodwinking their congregation. They know, they are conscious of this. They still do it anyway, because they understand that at the end of the day, they can say to Jesus, well, we're doing the best we could. and if I've done bad, please forgive me, and Jesus will freaking forgive them. Okay, especially if they fall on their knees and say, please forgive me. I sincerely mean forgive me. Okay, you can't uninstall that from your mind just overnight. It takes a long period of time and finding where your thoughts are entangled with the Bible to do that. And if you think that you can just, you know, click your fingers and do it, you're deluding yourself. Just like you can't just click your fingers and no longer be on a spinning globe. All the globelings who are refusing to look at the evidence that the new experiments by flat earthers have proven and demonstrated with true science, which is observable and repeatable, the globelings will not look at that. And the religious will not look at that. The same, the equivalent, which is look at the lies in your book and highlight them. Look at the distortions. Look at the outright contradictions. Look at the sinister qualities. God said, I'm going to tell them, if they don't let you go, I'm not going to basically open your chains and let you go myself. I'm going to tell you to tell them that I'm telling you to tell them that if they don't let you go, I will kill all their firstborn. Now, this is supposed to be the guy, the God, the Father, that also made those firstborn and the captors. What the fuck is this? How convoluted and twisted does an idea have to be? And the end of that story for the Christians is that the main character flies up into the sky. That's the end of that story. Come on, guys. How absurd does a story have to be for you to realize that it's absurd? It's like the globe. We believed it until we saw, oh shit, it's absurd. And now it's time for religious people to say, oh shit, it's absurd. And you'll have the same cognitive dissonance as the globelings have, or as you did when you were first detaching yourself from the globe. That's what will happen. You will revolt. Your mind will not want to go there. And that's because you've been freaking brainwashed. That's how brainwashing works. Your brainwashing justifies your brainwashing. I can see you engaged with chat, Nathan. Anything interesting?
Well, we've got Adam Joseph Dirty in the chat who'd like to join.
Brilliant.
Can I send him a link?
Yes, do.
Okay, I've sent him a link. I had it all queued up ready. So yeah, he's presumably chomping in the bit to disagree with you entirely, I would imagine, as he's a devout Christian.
Yeah.
So let's see if Adam Joseph Doherty joins us. I mean, why? Well, before he does, though, you've had a specific motivation for holding this hangout,
yeah,
which is to set people straight about the nonsense of religion, which is fair enough, you know.
Yeah.
But why have you had that motivation? What's compelling you to point this out to people? Can't you live and let live? It's the same with the no trees thing. If people want to believe there's no trees on flat Earth,
it's because, yes, I tell you why. Okay, it's because I'm seeing the Christians in the flat Earth, and I say the Christians because unfortunately anybody who's a Christian is classed as a Christian. Not all Christians, okay, but the bulk of the massively offensive, and I don't mean, hey Adam.
Hi, the sellout is here. Anyways, go on.
So what I'm seeing is that the bulk of the offensive without any goal other than to offend, the bulk of the abuse, of the lies, of the distortion of other people's work, other people's videos, other people's comments are by people who call themselves Christians. That's what I've seen. Oh, you've seen it too, Nathan. There's only
I want to hear Adam's reaction. So Adam's been sat in the chat for this whole thing.
Wait. One second, Nathan. There's only very few Christians who call themselves Christians that don't engage with this. Okay? Mainly Adam Joseph Doty, who had a little fit of it and then really quickly realized, and Rob Skiba, you know, my future wife's lost hope. Because according to according to somebody, a very clever Christian, Patricia wanted to marry Rob Skiba, and I'm her kind of second.
Come on, who said that?
Really true. Who was it, Patricia?
Validation boy.
Oh, validation.
Oh man.
Boy,
Damn it! I didn't mean to bring that guy up because it's just.
what a load of nonsense.
Yeah.
But
So Antonio, you
Rob
read.
is a really good guy. You're not wrong.
Yes. Yes. So this is the thing. Okay. There are good people who are good regardless of their religion, and if religion didn't exist, those people would be good anyway. Because the truth is, if an atheist is helping to remove rubble to help the suffering of those trapped underneath.
Yeah. We've heard all this.
Wait, no. There's a subtle difference here. If an atheist is removing rubble to help the person underneath, and a Christian is removing rubble because it's a good thing to do because of Jesus, then of the two, the one that is the most purely good is the atheist, because he's not doing it to help or please somebody else. He's doing it because it's a good thing to do. In fact, that would be the mentality that Jesus would have. He would help because a good thing to do is help, not for some reward or not to please somebody else.
Okay, right. So, Adam, what would Jesus do?
Okay, I was in chat for a while. I woke up and I thought I'd see what's going on, and I saw you had something going on, so I jumped. I went to see what you guys are talking about. I don't know why some of the, like Chris Rock, I love you, man, but they get mad in chat and everything because, I mean, what you already believe, people already know, right? Like, I already know kind of what your belief is. But I think there's a difference between the institution in religions and Christianity and faith. I don't believe it's necessarily the same thing. So I think when you're looking at it, you're seeing the institution, or you're reading the Bible under a certain light, under your biases, right? Because Antonio, even you have biases on things because you came from the Catholic Church, right? And you saw a really dark side to it. So that kind of slanted the way that you see things. Same as, in a sense, same as me. I mean, I didn't want to just go along with the crowd. I saw things that were going wrong in the church, but actually, instead of getting so pissed off, well, I actually did walk away for a while, but instead of just getting pissed off and saying, forget about God, forget about everything, these people are all hypocrites, it actually strengthened my faith because it relied more on God than on men. So if I was on the outside, say I wasn't a Christian.
Can I just interrupt, Adam? Because we had this right at the beginning of the show. Can you qualify what you mean by that strengthened your faith? What do you mean? Because
some people go to church, they grow up in church, and they think that they have faith. But actually, and I'm not judging because only God knows the hearts of men, but they put their faith in the pastor or the reverend or the priest or the people. But I was challenged in my heart that I had to put my faith in God. And I realized that how much I was putting my faith in people, because people will let you down, right, all the time. If I put my faith in an organized religion and that's it, and I'm not saying don't have any structure or anything like that, but if I put my faith in those people only, you know, then I'm putting them before God and they're becoming my idol.
I mean much more simplistic. What do you mean by put your faith in? What specifically does that mean to you? What is putting your faith in to something? What does that mean to you?
To me, it's, I don't know, it's just something that I'm trying to explain something that you can't explain. Like, faith is just something that you know, and you cannot prove. I can't prove it. It's kind of like Antonio can't prove 100% what he's saying, and I can't prove 100% what I'm saying because it's faith, so you'll always be at some sort of odds, right?
Well, my position is this. Let's suppose that the creator or the whatever it is, okay, let's suppose that the great mystery does not tally up good actions versus bad actions. Let's just imagine that the consciousness or the consciousnesses does not tally up good versus bad, does not weigh feathers versus souls, does not weigh things, even if that was the case, I would still do the right thing. Because it makes more sense, logically, it makes more sense to try to cause domino effects of good deeds, the whole pay it forward idea. It makes more sense to do that than to not do that. It makes more sense.
So you follow your conscience.
Yeah, but it's not just my conscience. It's also a certain element of reason, but also it's my heart. It makes more sense to do a kind deed than not do a kind deed, or even more, to do an evil deed. It makes much more sense to do a kind deed, irregardless of whether there's anybody or anything tallying up good versus bad deeds.
It's not a word.
Say again?
Irregardless. Sorry.
It's not a word. It's not a word.
No, I said regardless. I didn't say irregardless.
Yeah, you did.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, you did.
I'm going to rewind. Right, wait.
It doesn't matter. I'm sorry. I'm just being pedantic. I'm really sorry. I'm being that guy.
I will have to look to see if I said that, because if I did, then I'm going to smack myself for it.
Hold on. Let me say, wait a minute. Before I lose my train of thought, I got to jump in for 1 second. Actually, Nathan, maybe I can answer your question a little bit more what faith means to me now from what it used to, and then you can continue. I used to be kind of arrogant in my faith because I would believe that this is my faith. Now I see it as my whole world fell apart, and I'm a little less critical to judge other people because the faith that I have is not mine. If I really have faith, then it has to be given by God, because how do you say it? Because otherwise it would be pride, right? So I believe I have faith, but I don't believe that it's my own. I don't believe that anyone can really believe in the God that I believe in unless God gives them that faith to believe. So I don't feel pressured that if someone's getting offended or anything, and I don't feel like I have to please men, but I should love people. So I don't know, I just see faith differently when it comes to that.
But what you've just described, all those feelings and emotions and thoughts are internal. They are all your thoughts and your feelings and your emotions, exactly. Aren't they not?
They are. It's just the conclusion I came to, and that's what faith is. And I can't prove it. That's the thing. I really can't. If someone doesn't know what I know, I can speak to that person, give them all the right words, and try my best. I can say, Antonio, Jesus loves you. Not the Jesus that I once believed in, but the one that I know now. Because I think there's many false Jesuses out there. But the one that I know now, like I can say to I'm blue in the face, but unless God gives you the faith to believe, you can't believe. So why am I going to tire myself out getting frustrated because Antonio's not going to believe, because all Antonio sees is the institutions. And if I were in his position, that's how I would see things too.
Yes.
But I'm not. But I'm not in your position because I believe I know the truth.
So I have a question for you. Let's imagine that you had a dream that had such impact on you that you woke up in the morning and in this hypothetical world realized that Jesus never existed and that the Bible wasn't true. Let's just imagine that you had such a dream. Do you think that your actions would change and you would suddenly stop caring and loving people? Or do you think that you would continue to care and love?
I would put out way more offensive comedic videos.
I like that.
I wouldn't care. So.
Today, Nathan and I were going to start with the Book of Job, where I asked Nathan to read it, and I was going to interject things like, "How do you know?" and things like that, because you've been listening for a while. You know my point of view. These stories were made up. And
I know your point of view. Yeah, I know it. Yeah.
Now, this is a get-out clause for all religious people of all backgrounds, okay? If there is, a get-out clause from the brainwashing, okay? If there is a divine great mystery, then the divine great mystery can use any avatar that it chooses to infiltrate badness and make it into goodness, including, say, if Christianity had been created to control people by the Romans, manipulate it so that it can result in goodness. Okay, that does not mean that all of it is good, but that
yeah, but that's what happened. Yeah, that's what happens with religion, though. Even when Jesus was here, he was frustrated. Well, I guess frustrated in a way, but what the priests and the Pharisees and Sadducees were doing to his father's house and to faith, they were taking it to control the people, right? And they do that today too. But it doesn't mean that there's no such thing as faith and that it isn't true. It just means that there's wolves out there, and they're trying to take something that was good to control the people. So I don't think to me I see the difference, right? And they do it today. Churches do it too. They want to control the people, but it still doesn't mean that what Jesus came to do never happened just because men are trying to corrupt it.
Okay, but didn't Jesus say, you don't need to follow me, you don't need to follow anyone, you're all individuals, you're all different? Didn't Jesus say that from the window?
Jesus said, pick up your cross and
Life of Brian.
Yeah, that wasn't Jesus. Jesus said, pick up your cross and follow me. That's what he said.
That's my favorite line in the whole of that. When
Life of Brian
says, I'm not.
The gospel of the life of Brian. Eh? Sorry, I cut you off.
For it is written in the book of Cyril, a man shall lose his hammer, and nobody will know where lieth the hammer that he placed there only just the night before, about 8 o'clock. So what I'm saying, Joseph, if we suppose that the same kind of cunning manipulative organizations that have been cunning and manipulating large groups of people through the globe, since the days of the globe, through the sword, since the day of fealty and all of those things, and through religion, if those organizations are left in check and not questioned, all of us have said, hey, astrophysicists, you've been talking shit. Hey, geologists, you've been talking shit. What are you doing, pretending like you know stuff? You don't know how far a star is. How would you know? So we've been saying that to the religion of scientism.
Okay.
We're not saying it to the religion that brings into this world of the flat earth the kind of elements that we see in Anna Loves the Lord and Flat Earth Vancouver, BC, and Jeff Stewart and Dan Pratt, who says he's not a Christian, but that's probably because it's cool in his neighborhood to not be a Christian. He's a freaking Christian, of course he is, or at least that's his background. But there are these people who call themselves Christian and don't behave like Christians. I know people who do not call themselves Christians, and if you had to guess, if they had a kind of an overriding compass that dictated to them the best action, you'd say, yeah, they do. They have Christianity in their heart, but they don't. They didn't grow up with Christianity. They're not. They're not Christian.
Okay, I got something that I just thought of. I want to say before I forget. And I know what you're saying. I do. Sometimes there's people that are not Christians that have treated me better than those that say that they're Christians. But let me look at it this way. And this is, I guess you could see the shape of the earth as being a parallel to true faith or true religion. Now, do you believe that this world exists? That we live in the world? Yeah, Antonio. Sorry, you're muted.
It's all a dream. It's all Mandela.
It's all a dream. Yeah, okay, it's Mandela.
Sorry,
my point is, okay, do you believe, okay, without saying what the earth looks like, whether it's, a globe or flat or whatever, do you believe that we live in a world that exists?
No.
You don't?
I don't.
So you don't believe it's flat? Because you know where I'm going with it anyways.
No.
Okay, let me just get to the point. Hold on, let me get to the point, because I don't know.
I'll play along. You're being a real bugger, so am I. I'm sorry.
No, all that I was going to say, Adam, is as far as I can control it, I try to not live by beliefs. Because
no, that's what I mean. I mean the actual world we live in. I'm not talking about a philosophy or
All right.
or
Do I
anything.
think that we live in a real world?
Some
Yeah.
kind of world. Okay, so my point is this. Some Christians are looking at scripture and faith and stuff as being like a sphere or a globe, right? I see it. I'm trying to piece this together because it was just a thought that I have. I see the world as being some sort of flat plane, right? Now we both believe that there's a world. We just our concepts of it are different. So I used to in Christianity see the scriptures almost like as a parallel to a heliocentric model, right? But now when I sat down, I looked at scripture, I looked at the proofs that are out there, and I had to say, okay, we don't. We live on a flat plane. I'm still a Christian, right? But I see things in a better way. You know, I see things a little bit more for how they really are. So I think, I'm trying to piece this together, you don't throw out Jesus because they have a bad concept of who Jesus is and his creation, right? They just have it wrong in some areas. So I think that's why I came up with the biblical flat earth clues, those few in the beginning, because I started seeing scripturally that a flat earth actually testifies more to Jesus and his creation than what some Christians think that it actually is. So I think, in my opinion, that flat earth actually strengthened my faith because it almost like, in a sense, shows the Godhead revealed through his creation more than what they did before. So it doesn't, I think religion, no, faith and flat earth to me are inseparable.
Okay, well that's to you, but we agree in that the creation points to the creator. In that way,
And I believe that's Jesus.
Okay.
Prove me wrong.
No, I can't.
That's a thing. We can't prove each other wrong because it's our opinion, right? It's just going to go in circles.
No,
Yeah,
but there is something I want to throw in. Sorry to interrupt you both, and it's a point that a guy named Paul in the chat made, and I'm going to read out his comment. Just the one. There's a few, but yes, Satan exists, and so does God, Antonio. Why is there good and evil? ? Well, Paul, people are good and people are evil, and by saying that question, it essentially points out that you have externalized good and evil to other entities beyond yourself. And to me, Flat Earth does the opposite. For me, it makes me internalize what I do and what I can do into the future, as opposed to see a nefarious spirit or the devil sat on my shoulder making me do evil things. Nonsense. I can do evil things. I have the potential to burn it all to the ground, to kill every person I come across. Yeah, I've got the potential to do horrible, evil things, as has every single person on the face of the plane. No man is different. We all have evil within us. We all have evil potential. That's where evil comes from, and it's the same place good comes from. You know, the same exact thing. It comes from within. It comes from you. All of the things you described earlier, Adam, I didn't get to put this point in, but we're exclusive of anything in the Bible. All of those things. You are those things. You are the person that has the faith that you described initially. You said, well, you know, it's just something that I can't prove. But then you will go on to a series of values that are very quantifiable things and ways of being that have come from you as an individual. And, you know, I'm not picking on Christianity. I know Paul's other comments were, well, Christians are being singled out here. No, you know, I'm sure Antonio said it on several occasions. We're blanketing all religions, including globalism.
Yes, but one of the points that I was making earlier is that within the flat earth, the biggest abusers of others, the biggest liars, the biggest distorters are Christians. It's not my opinion. You can go and you can look at what people are saying about other people. Just look and see Who's saying that Patricia Stay is a man or is all kinds of ludicrous things? Christians. It's like, what the heck is this? Now,
yeah, but Christian can just be a label. Or anybody can call themselves a Christian. Anybody can say, I'm a Christian.
Yeah, so
anybody can.
Yeah. So I know, I get it. But these are the people that I'm saying, these people say that their actions come from their interpretation of Scripture or their perception of Christ and what Christ would want. Somebody in the chat said, if you don't believe in Jesus, start talking to Christ. I'm going to say to you, if you don't believe in Gandalf, start talking to Gandalf. If you don't believe in Gandalf, start talking to, what's his other name? He has another name, okay?
Antonio?
Yes.
Never mind. No, the answer. That's a bad joke.
I forget, in the Bible, in the Lord of the Rings, Gandalf has another name. Anybody who's read the Lord of the Rings might know it. But the point is, if you don't believe in Gandalf, start talking to Gandalf at night. Let's see how quickly you don't believe in Gandalf. And it's the same thing with Jesus. To me, Jesus never existed. The person that has a historical little commotion that happened back then, there was somebody that caused this. And this person was a normal human being who died and was buried in freaking India, in Kashmir. The real person didn't go up to heaven from the top of a cloud, from the top of a mountain. He went north. And
were you there? Were you there? But were you there to see that?
No, but neither was any of the people who say that it was Jesus.
So you have faith in some other people's report too?
No.
Yeah, you do, because you weren't actually there.
No.
So you believe some other story.
Wait. I believe.
So we both have faith in different people's stories. So you're doing exactly what you're accusing other people of doing.
No, I'm not. I'm saying if anybody existed, it was this character, and if not that character, then none.
Because it's more plausible to you.
No, not because it's more plausible. It's because when people say, look, historicity has certain elements of truth. It's like, okay. Yes, that we can say that, yes, historicity does have elements of truth. For instance, to say 2,000 years ago, humans lived. Yeah, 2,000 years ago they did. We can say they didn't, but then we have to like trace back our ancestry and say, oh, hold on, it goes back about 2,000 years. Unless it just started like 3 generations back and all of them had the delusion of a further generation situation. So we can say this, historicity has certain elements of truth, like despite what John LeBon might say. So the Romans were in the Middle East. I've been to Masada, the fortress on the top of the mountain, of the hill, aquifer, cool place. I've been there, okay? The Romans besieged it. Yes, they did. And eventually they got in. They set the thing on fire, they got in, okay? Now, I've been there. The Romans were there, okay? The Romans were running things there, okay? It is a bit of a wild land, like Israel is right now, and Palestine, okay? It was wild then. It's wild. It's a wild land. It's a bottleneck between Africa and the East. It's a freaking really narrow bottleneck. You're going to have all kinds of nefarious characters there. You're going to have all kinds of dirty people there. Like dirty not as in, you know, hygiene, but as in deeds. And the Romans had freaking problems controlling it. So they employed the controllers of that region to help control. This is all, yes, it makes sense that they would do this. They did this elsewhere too, okay? And they did it there. Now that some bright, wise person was born, grew up, said, you know what, you don't need to be a yoke to all of these things. That might have happened in an area of high tension. That's not beyond the realm of possibility. In fact, it's kind of likely. So Gandhi didn't live in India when everything was fine and dandy in India. In fact, Gandhi was kind of the result of the fact that things were not fine and dandy in India, but that the Indians were basic slaves to the Brits. Okay, so these kinds of situations do breed exceptional characters. Now that there was an exceptional character, yes, quite possibly, I'm not saying for sure, quite possibly that this character might have traveled, and by being a wise character have left remnants of his wisdom where he stopped and stayed for a year or 2 or months, and that these areas would have not written accounts but verbal accounts of this guy that came from over there, and that this character would be called something like great teacher or master. All of those things make sense, okay? That this character died at some point and was buried with a grave that says the great teacher. All of these things make sense, and you can go there, you can go to this grave, okay? But it breaks away from the religious side of it. Now, was this character good? Yes, probably. But the Bible says, don't any of you call yourselves good. Say, whoa, hold on a freaking minute. You're telling us we have to be good, but we're not allowed to say that we are good. What is this mind fuckery? Because it is mind fuckery. And then Paul asked me if I'm a sinner. No, I am not a sinner. Because according to my philosophy of the world, I don't fall under sins and lack of sins. But I can see that you are a sinner. Because you fall within the category where that title means something. To me, it doesn't. If you ask me, am I a good person? Yes, I'm a good person.
Well, no one's going to say I'm bad. No one's going to say, you know, I'm just a total jerk. I'm just a bad person.
I reckon
someday, an alcoholic's got to say, I'm an alcoholic. It's just got to if they're going to get help, right? I got problems.
Here's this thing, okay? So you have humility, okay? You're supposed to be humble. And to be humble, you can't go around saying that you're good. Say, hold on a second. Why can't you go around saying that you're good? Because other people will think things about you. And this is the peer pressure thing. That's why this is titled peer pressure.
Yeah, but that's the difference between humility and false humility, right? Like there's a false humility that's total stupid, and then there's real humility, you know, because someone that's really a humble person knows that they're not perfect, I think. That's part of it, right? But false humility kind of puts them up, you know, on a little bit of a pedestal there, the way that they do things.
But this is a situation. I haven't said that I'm perfect. I said that I'm good. I am
do you
good.
Do you have false humility? Because you're displaying signs of false humility right now.
Not really. I know that I am humble. I know that I am.
But you're admitting it, so that's kind of prideful, isn't it? You're a little bit prideful.
This pride. So either humble.
I'm just playing with you.
I know you are. I know you are. I'm really enjoying it. No, I know that I'm a good guy. I know this. I know this by the actions that I see myself doing. I know I'm a good guy.
Nah, that's just a belief.
Yeah. No, I know that Adam is a good guy. Okay, because first of all, he's got a lot more courage than many of the people out there. Because this is a religion bashing show where Adam has come on as a religious person, but he has no fear of coming in here because he knows that there's not going to be any insults to him, that there's no hatred. You see, this is the thing. People think that religion means love and lack of religion mean hatred, and it does not mean that. That's a religious installed idea. Go back to the analogy of the disaster and the people helping to shift the rubble. Now, nobody says, hold on a second, are you going to shift rubble for Jesus? Oh, if not, then you're not allowed. People aren't going to do that. People are going to allow anybody who wants to help can. And the reasons why they're helping will be more and less pure. For instance, the person who's helping going, look, my name is Robert Bassano. Look at this big rock that I'm lifting. Oh, he's lifting little rocks. Okay, that kind of person is a freaking idiot. Okay, but the people who are moving rocks quietly, those people, whether they're doing it for Jesus or not, they are being good. Okay, now the people who are doing it, showing, oh, the girls are over there, I'll pull rocks from over there where the girls are watching. Those people are doing it for a different reason. But what I'm saying,
but even Jesus talked about that too. I mean, if you're fasting and praying and you do it on the streets for everybody to see, it's better to do it in your closet where no one sees, because it's his arrogance, it's prideful.
But then how do you go to the toilet if you're in your closet? How do you go to your toilet if you're in your closet?
Bring a bedpan, man.
Oh yeah, never thought of that, because there's supposedly in those days. No, but what I'm saying is, look, if you're doing deeds that you know are good, there's nothing wrong with saying to yourself that that was a good deed, okay? But thinking to yourself, you shouldn't say that that was a good deed, you'll get a big head. Or God will disapprove because God said, don't you dare call yourself good. It's like, what the? That is an insult, okay? In fact, it's an insult to God.
Why would it be?
God. Because if God shares our consciousness, then you're saying, don't tell yourself, and by extension God, that it's good. Oh, really? If God is in all and all is in God, don't call things good. Say, whoa, 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 whoa. This, when you look at how manipulators manipulate things, they put things in there to spin you. And before you can gather your senses, they've put a few other things, and then they've led you up the garden path and said, okay, now from here on, you can see sense, can't you? And you go, well, I was a bit confused, but yeah, I can see sense now. The point for that was to make you confused so that things could be installed in you. And now you can see sense.
You're really spinning things, and I'm not sure where you're going with this. I'm feeling manipulated. I'm feeling manipulated, man. I'm feeling manipulated.
You're too sharp for me. No, but it's, come on, guys. It's the idea.
What I'm seeing is, I'm kind of seeing you're doing the same thing you're accusing other people of doing, but from a totally different viewpoint.
What is that?
Well, you're saying things that you can never prove, and you're kind of putting your spin on it to try to convince people to your side.
No.
Well, let me try and do a slightly different job then, Adam, because you've just done this, so I can use you very specifically as an example.
You can use me anytime.
So, if you take the no trees thing, there are plenty of people that weren't detractors, and Jaron's the best example. He took what he wanted from the information. He didn't say that I believe it wholeheartedly, but he let it expand his mind. Or maybe Bob is a better example because he has something that people can actually see. So that he did a live show where he showed how he had taken that information, it had expanded his thought processes, and it had led him to something better. Now, he doesn't have to take the whole no trees thing completely literally in order to take value from that. Now, you came out all guns blazing saying it's nonsense. I won't put words in your mouth, but because it doesn't really tie in at all with your religious beliefs. So it was offensive to you. Now, the same thing could be spun from what Antonio said throughout the whole show and what I'm trying to get through to you now, which is that you can take, how does Tiger Dan phrase it? You've done this too. Chew the meat, spit out the bones. There's no reason why you can't take every religious text across the board. So you can take, but who's a good example? Wakey does this. He'll just look at lots of different religious texts and take value from what you want to take value from. There's going to be. It doesn't matter if you had access to the libraries under the Vatican. They're still written by men. There's still going to be distortions. All of history is going to have this rife. But it doesn't mean that you chuck the baby out with the bathwater. It doesn't mean that you disregard it all. If there's stuff in the Bible that gives you more hope, more faith, more joy, then take it. Take it in abundance. Great, wonderful. That's brilliant. And don't let anybody ever stop you from doing it.
Do you know? Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Do you know there are people who read The Lord of the Rings, and they say that it's a metaphor, that it was a metaphorical book, that the ring was the symbol for Nazism, that Sauron was the symbol for the Reich, so we would now be in the Fourth Reich, that hobbits or little people meant the untitled, like not lords, not people from important families. That the adventure and the struggle is basically, and the carrying of the ring of Frodo is the equivalent to carrying of the cross. So having to bear your burdens with you through your life, okay? They say that this is why The Lord of the Rings was written, and this is what they see when they read it, okay? Now, Tolkien expressly gave an interview to explain that he was not writing analogy, that it was not metaphor. He made that expressly clear, but people will say God was talking through Tolkien to give a different avenue to arrive at the same conclusion.
I've got to interrupt again. Sorry. There's another Red Dwarf reference. So when they're 2 million years in space, they start catching up with old news broadcasts. And they say on this one news broadcast that they found a page of the Bible that was written off in history. And it says, To my darling Candice, all of the characters in this book are fictitious and not to be taken at all literally. And they say that all the religious, all the Christian priests in the world have gone absolutely bonkers over this page that they found, and then the news broadcast cuts off. So they're alleging that there's literally a
Are you
page.
saying that space exists? Does space exist, Nathan?
In Red Dwarf it does, but that's a obvious fiction.
So using fiction to prove a point?
Well, my point is that they are farcically saying that you could easily find a page of the Bible tomorrow that details that it's an absolute nonsense. They find, what was it, the last most big discovery is probably the scrolls. So, they find new stuff all the time that's very, very old. Who's to say they won't find an original front page that says it's all just nonsense and myth and not to be taken seriously? Who's to say that won't be found tomorrow?
That's why I wouldn't trust it. Because that's why I believe that, if you're finding something that's supposed to be a more older codex or something like that, but it's saying something contrary to what's being said now, and it's only one witness, I wouldn't believe it.
Right. So what if it was a front cover and a back cover? So the back cover also said, a similar thing.
Give the ending.
It says,
hey, unless there's 2 or 3 witnesses, I won't believe it. Well,
so
unless there's 2 or 3.
So the front cover says it's all a fiction and not to be taken seriously. The back cover says, and it was all just a dream. And I woke up in my bed.
Yeah. No, I wouldn't believe it because I would want 2 or 3 witnesses. I'm not just going to believe one ancient text because they found it and said it's right. I wouldn't do it.
But when I had this argument with my uncle and pointed out some of the flat Earth associations, he immediately said that, well, those sections are allegorical. In other words, he would pick and choose what's literal and what isn't based on his own faith and his own version of that faith. And his version is very much a global version. So, that you can pick and choose. It's like I say, you can chew the meat and spit out the bones. If there's stuff in there that's useful and good for your general well-being and you can take value from it, you should. You should.
Yeah, but sometimes they're not even bones. Sometimes they're not even bones. It's like a baby trying to chew on a steak. You're not going to swallow it too good. So what I can digest now, even a year ago, I couldn't digest or deal with that the way I can now. And I hope a year from now I can handle it. So what I used to think was a bone, I just wasn't ready to eat yet.
I have a question for anybody in chat and for you, Adam. Excuse me. If the globe had not been introduced to you until you were maybe 17, 18, okay, and it was brought to you then, you'd never had an image of the globe on TV, you had not come across it, okay, and at that point, somebody explained to you that this is how the world worked, you would probably have enough discernment to say, what's the proof? Why do we think this? And maybe go out and check some of the stuff that we're telling you, that the horizon is 3.14 miles away, and go, hey, I've got a photograph of this, and this thing is 6 miles away. It's more than 3.14 miles. I'm 6 foot tall. This thing is, say, 7 miles away. I think what you were telling me about the globe is not true. Now, if we had religion the same way, people never heard about whatever their religion is, not a scrap, not an image, nothing, until the age of 17, 18, I would wager that the majority of us would have said, I don't buy this. Not from the books that we have now. Not from the Bible, not from the Quran, not from the Torah, not from the Bhagavad Gita or the Mahabharata, not from any of those. We would say, this doesn't ring true. This doesn't seem right. Why would a good God do these things? This doesn't seem right. This seems like it's not true. But
can I ask you a question though?
Sure.
If you didn't have any of that, and you felt that God was speaking to you, right? What would you do next?
Well, this is the thing. This is the thing. Okay. So you reach 17, 18. Okay, and now people try to tell you a lie about the world you live on, you'd say, I think that's not true. Okay, and they try to tell you a lie about the things that created this world, you would say, I think that's not true. But you would still think, I think this place was made. Because guess what? That's what all of the indigenous tribes of any nation have done before the Bible came along. They all said the same thing. This place was made. All of them. Like, there isn't a single, even the most primitive tribe in the Amazonian jungle, say this place was built. They say it was spirits, the spirits of the forest, and various different things, but they still say this place was built. Now, they have access to ayahuasca and things like that, and it doesn't matter whether you have hallucinogenics or whether it's just your own mind contemplating existence. Every single human being that has lived as part of a tribe has shared a concept, that tribe's concept, of what they are. All of them. So our tribal concept is the Bible. Now, it doesn't mean that it's right, but that they all point to existence and an architect or an orchestrator. That's self-evident. Now, to say the qualities of that orchestrator, let's not forget, it's male. How does anybody know? Well, because Jesus said, this is how you pray, our Father. So, whoa, how do you know it's a father? Why would it be male? Why would it have a penis? Why would it be male?
You say penis a lot, man.
I know. It's just since that gay video, it's just, I've had nothing but penises in my mind. Right?
Have you not heard the latest theory then?
What?
Well, there's a new theory that's going around about what the shape of the Earth might be.
Oh, yes.
No, tell me it's that.
The dick Earth. Yeah.
That's right, yeah, Dick Earth. It's quite an interesting theory.
It is. It is, and it's
two celestial spheres.
And it makes sense. To me, it makes sense to me how some things can look round, but from another angle look straight. Yeah. It's yeah. No,
quite
but
a difficult theory to swallow.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh! Come on, guys. You know what? What you do make a valid point, though. Okay, that's where I think the globe or heliocentric model robs people of the reality of the Creator. And anybody, okay, I believe that Jesus came to bring us salvation. He came to free us. I believe that. But aside from that, if someone's sitting there and says in their heart, there's no God, there's no Creator, well, it's kind of foolish, right? That's what Scripture says too. So
yes,
that's very basic. That's very basic. Anyone that just sits outside and looks at creation and looks up has to admit there's a Creator. That's basic level right there. They have to. Otherwise, you're totally deluded.
Well, so this is the thing. Nobody would do that. Naturally, nobody would think this has not been created. Under natural conditions, without any religion, nobody would arrive at that conclusion. No one.
Right,
Just
you're
like
right.
Nobody would arrive at the conclusion that we're spinning through the universe. Somebody would have to craft an idea and then express it to other people and convince other people that that idea was right. And the same with religion. Nobody would say, I think that this was made by a God who threatens to kill other people unless they obey somebody else, not me, somebody else who tells me that God is speaking to them. Okay? This has to be constructed, just like the globe. So would people think, if there were no religion, would people think, this is just some kind of weird accident? No. People would invent reasons. And to them, those reasons would be true. Now, the thing that is true is the cause for those inventions, which is that we exist and that reality exists. That's true. But to give qualities to God, can you imagine the level of arrogance of anybody who starts to give qualities to God? Like, for instance,
but in a sense, you are giving qualities to God. In a sense, you are, though, because you're taking what your reason is, and you're imposing those on the Creator without knowing the whole story of what really happened.
But what
so you're doing the same thing.
What is God to you then? We often, or Antonio more than me, will say, well, God doesn't have a beard, and we've said it in terms of penises tonight, but you know, beard, penis, whatever you like. What is God to you, Adam?
Spirit and truth.
Okay.
God, his spirit and truth.
Ask me what God is.
So what is God to you, Antonio?
Energy and truth.
Well, all I know is there are no pubes on Dick Earth.
Okay. No, but the thing is, okay, so you say spirit and truth. I say energy and truth. Okay? We can agree on one thing, truth. Okay? You can say spirit and truth, and I can argue for energy and truth, and you can say, no, it's spirit, and I can say, no, what you call spirit is really energy, and you say, no, what you call energy is really spirit, but we can agree that it's truth. Okay? We don't need to describe and define any further than that. No religion.
That would be sad, though, wouldn't it? That would be sad that the Creator doesn't want to.
But
why not? Why wouldn't the Creator want to get to know people one-on-one rather than, you know, isn't that more important?
But the Creator does get to know people one-on-one.
Yeah, I
It's
agree.
the people that don't get to know the Creator. So some people genuinely think that the ruler of this world is Lucifer. That's the character that they get to know one-on-one. But it doesn't mean it's true.
It doesn't mean it's true, right?
No,
that's what I mean. It just goes around in circles, because then your personal truth is different than my personal faith or my personal truth, right?
I'm sorry, I keep interrupting, but what you've just said is kind of a bit backwards. You kind of poo-pooed when Antonio said, well, people say that they have a personal relationship with devil. Well, that devil is very much part of your religion, and why not?
Right,
why would you just say, no? Well, if you believe wholeheartedly that you have a personal relationship with Jesus, why would you say that people don't have a personal relationship with the devil? Why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you accept that?
They probably do. They probably.
Well, no. They do in your religion, though. This is the thing. So this happens all the time. You put the idea of the devil in people, and in the chat, that Paul guy was like, the devil does exist because, and then he quantified it out to good and evil, deeds that men do. But yet Antonio's done it much more eloquently, because as a Christian, you're prepared to say, well, no, there's not, you know, the Lucifer, to you it's just like another religion. The Luciferians are just another religion to you, but it's part of your religion to accept that, but you don't. Because it seems ludicrous. But it's the same.
No, not really. No, I believe that, okay, like the Luciferians or whatever, I believe in a spiritual world. Like, I believe that there's definitely spirits and demonic forces. I believe in a literal Lucifer. So I believe there's people that worship him.
Do you specifically believe that those people that Antonio's just described are worshipping a true entity of power? In other words, those people that bow down to the devil, right? If God is, as you describe, gives you all these things, these wonderful things, well, the devil is the antithesis of that. Therefore, you must accept that that devil is giving those people power. Do you not accept that?
Yeah, I believe that sure. He's given them something, for sure.
So the people, the proven Satan worshippers, you think they have actual power given to them by the devil? Are you shitting me?
No, hold on. Let me explain. Hold on. What he's giving them is false things, right? It's not actual power, but he's making them believe that it is, because he's the deceiver. He's the light bearer. So he's making them
how are you
think.
any different? How are you any different?
How am I any different? Because I don't know. I can't prove it. I just know.
But this is what the Luciferians would say. If, let's say that there was a debate between Luciferians and Christians, or Luciferians and Muslims, none would be able to prove to the other. Like you just said, this is true. And my point is, if somebody is saying that they have some kind of truth that you don't have access to, then likely it is that those people are talking shit. Now,
but that's where I would disagree, because I think everyone has access to that if they want to call on the name of the Lord, because I don't think God's a respecter of any person. I don't think I'm any special. I don't think I know anything that no one else can know. But but at the same time, I can't prove it. I can't
Yeah,
say,
and neither can the Luciferian. Let's say if you were debating with a Luciferian, the Luciferian could say exactly the same words that you just used, including using the word Lord.
And the Muslims, and the Buddhists, and the Sikh, and
anybody can say that. I agree with that.
But this is what happens. Okay, I'm saying I think humanity has no right in supposing that they can figure out the nature of the Earth in terms of origin, and in terms of all the interactions, all the dynamics, all the energies, everything. I don't think humans can arrive at that point. And we've been told that we can, because we're on a globe and it came from a Big Bang and all of these maths. Okay? Now, I'm saying, no, we can't. Okay? Now, unless you can show to me, not you, but unless somebody can show to me that, yes, we can, I'm going to stay saying, no, don't think we can. And I'm going to say the same about God, okay? People can say God is blue, God is golden, God is light, God is spirit, God is lots of different things. And I'm going to say, you don't have the right to say that because you don't know. You don't know. You can have a personal truth, but that's not actual truth. Truth is something that can be shared, that can be looked at, that can be questioned, that can be studied. So why give qualities that you have no right to give? And the reason we do it is that we inherited it from childhood. Like Jesus being a man, for instance, that Jesus was a man, a human, and that he died, but that he was a living being. All of those things we inherited, and we couldn't question it. Okay, and the same with the globe. Now, the quality.
Yeah, but that's not true, though. That's not true, because I question a lot of things.
No,
I looked at scripture and I was questioning things.
Wait. When you were 4 and 5, when you were first hearing the story of Jesus, you didn't have the faculty to properly question. Not until after.
I wasn't. My parents weren't Christians.
No, but you'd have heard about it because you'd have celebrated Christmas, or you'd have seen other children celebrate Christmas, and you'll have heard about it from your society, your American or Canadian.
Sorry, is that so? Your parents weren't Christian? Were they not religious at all, Adam?
Not when I was little, no. Not at all.
Did they become Christians while you were a child, or what?
Later on they did. When I was older, like I think really around junior high, somewhere around there.
I don't know how old that is.
Junior high would be like grade 7 and 8, like I don't know.
11, 12, something like that.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, around there, yeah.
So So
but
you would have seen images of Jesus on television.
Okay.
You'd have heard about it already.
Right.
And then suddenly you get to hear about the details, and you go, oh, right, that's what all those images were representing. All those images were already there, the same as the globe. So even if you weren't specifically taught about Jesus, the images were already there. So Swamp Lover, who I like, I don't fall out with anybody, that's offensive on purpose to hurt feelings, whether it's mine or somebody else's. But Swamp Lover says that I don't know what God is. True. And that's what I'm saying. Neither do you. Neither does anybody else. And
I just want to ask you one. Hold on. Let me ask you a question. Okay.
Yeah.
Because this is like an endless debate because you can't prove that stuff. But let's say that you believed, okay, 100%. Now you don't, but put yourself in someone else's shoes, okay, for a second. And you believed that Jesus saved you, forgave you of your sin, made you new, and you believe that he did that for everybody. What would you do? Would you keep that in, or would you tell people?
I would question it.
Yeah, no, I didn't. That's not the question, though. If you believed 100%.
I did. 100%.
So, then wouldn't you tell people too? Wouldn't you want to share that?
I kind of did until I started questioning it.
Right.
And then the same thing happened as with the globe. I believed I was on a globe until I started questioning it.
So you're an evangelist? Were you an evangelist before?
No, I'm a Mormon.
Yeah, you know what I mean. You know what I'm saying.
You're Jewish.
No. I say that.
Shalom.
I say to people that I'm a Jew born in a Gentile's body. That's what I say to people because it's a joke. because it just makes a bit of a farce of the whole Jewish versus Christian thing, okay? Because everybody.
Hey, wait, no, that's not. Come on, I'm a Jew. I'm part of the household of faith. What are you talking about? I'm part of Israel. That's what the Bible said.
Israel. No,
There's no. Yes, I am. I don't care if they don't recognize me as one. I belong to that olive tree of Israel, and I belong to that same household. We're the same as far as God's concerned. Doesn't matter if they believe it or not. So I am a Jew. In my heart has been circumcised, and I'm a Jew. There you go. Shalom.
Shalom. Okay, but here's the thing. The reason I say that I'm a Jew is just because it's kind of funny to me. Okay, but in the books, in religious books, wherever they're housed, I'm a Mormon. Okay, that's why the story I told about the Mormons is true. I know that this is true. I became a Mormon. I was baptized. I went to Sunday school. I learned the whole shebang. I learned the con. Okay, and that was when I was looking into, let's see whether this is bullshit or not. And I went and well, first of all, let's see if this is bullshit or not. This is bullshit. Leave the Catholic Church. You can't just leave the Catholic Church unless you join another. Okay? No, you can't. You'll be in the books of the Catholic Church as a Catholic. Okay? You'll be counted as one of the number. So I left to the Mormons. Looked into the Mormons and thought, this is just the same bullshit, but with a tweak to it. And so I'm a Mormon. I'm a non-practicing Mormon. Like, in terms of actual... written down in ledgers. Okay.
So you're a Jewish Mormon. Is that what you are?
I'm a Jew at heart. Okay.
Okay.
I think the world is our playground, and I think we're all supposed to be an example of the goodness that can be in this world, which is the foundation of the Jewish faith, not the Talmudic rewording, but the original.
You tried, though, didn't you? You tried to become a Jew, did you not?
No, I didn't try. I went and I told the rabbi that I was a Jew born in a Gentile's body. And he said to me, you need to write to me a big letter. Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, no, but the reason I say this is I'm not religiously illiterate. Okay, I have read the Bible. I didn't read the Bible just to say I'd read every word. I read the Bible to understand it. I read the Bible and contemplated on it. I read the Bible to look to see what it was saying, and I saw what it was saying, and I saw the parts that are obviously not true, like the book of Job. The book of Job is obviously not, could be, might not be, really definitely is not true. Very simple.
Are you going to write like Antonio's manifesto soon, or what? Like
no. I'd be lynched for that. I'd be crucified.
Right. Now we've done with the Christians. Should we move on to the Hindus? Any Hindus in the chat?
Shit. Yeah, come on in.
Let's go.
Here, I got to go in a minute, but I just want to leave with one thought. Cool. When I came into the chat, even Chris Rock and some others, like, don't get so easily offended. And it's not like Antonio hides what he believes. It didn't surprise me, and I see that Antonio sees things based upon his experience and how he sees things, and he has the right to have an opinion, the same as I do, because I really believe in Jesus Christ. I'm not a sellout, like someone put it, because I just have patience, more patience than I used to, and I don't mind hearing people out. That doesn't make me a sellout because I do that. But getting angry and not wanting to hear someone out, I think that's wrong too. And there you go. I think it's wrong.
Thank you for that, Adam. And the truth is, Chris Rock or Jeff Stewart or anybody else who's listening there with anger in their heart, don't worry about it. You're supposed to behave like Jesus. Do as I do. Take the word.
Well, hold on. But still tell the truth. Because Antonio, Jesus loves you, man.
I know.
I'm still going to tell the truth.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah. Wait, sorry, Nathan, 1 second. That's what I was going to say. Don't worry about it, Chris Rock. Jesus forgives me. You don't need to worry about it, and you don't need to be judgmental. It's not.
Wait, did you just call in the name of the Lord? Did you just call in the name of the Lord?
No. So what I'm saying is, Chris Rock. Sorry to point you out, man, but you don't need to be judgmental. In fact, it's against your religion to be judgmental. You shouldn't be judgmental. You're being a sinner. So don't worry about
Chris Rock. Chris Rock's a really good guy.
He is a good guy. I love you, Chris. He's not bad.
Yes, what I'm saying is, don't worry about it. Jeff Stewart, don't worry about it. Jesus forgives me, just like he forgives everybody else. So don't
He
worry
forgives
about
you, but do you accept that forgiveness?
it. No.
Well, before we descend this into farce, I just
It's
want
good.
to ask one last question. So, are you all made up now with Jaren? Has that all been sorted out?
Yeah, see, I'm a Christian, but I'm human, and I kind of got really pissed off for like 2 days. I really wanted to smack him in his face. It was terrible. I was just going mental. I wanted to forgive him, then I wanted to punch him. Then I wanted to forgive him, then I wanted to strangle him. But uh, yeah, I forgive him. And it only took we didn't even talk, only on Skype. We sent a few messages. He explained, I'm not going to say everything in depth, but he explained kind of what happened and everything. I think sometimes when people are stressed out and things are happening in their life, it's so easy to take that stress and put it on somebody else.
Yes.
And instead of just saying, these are separate issues, you get to the point where you say, I had enough. This is crazy. What do you mean I'm an FBI agent? What do you mean I'm a shill? Or, oh my gosh, Adam's going crazy. He's talking like, he's disabled or something. So I don't know. I'm just letting it go, and that's it.
Do you know
Yeah,
what?
What can you do?
It was
That's
good.
that's the crucial bit, that you talked it through. Even though it
Yeah.
was just on Skype, it wasn't necessarily on a phone call or anything, but you talked it through, worked out your differences, and now it's in the past. And that's important for people to hear.
Yeah, yeah. I took those two videos down with Stephen Hawking and Jaren inside the rabbit hole. I took them down because I was so angry doing those, and I felt guilty for days after. And I'm just gonna have to forgive myself and move on, and just use a little more wisdom in the future. If I post anything that's funny, in my opinion, I'm just gonna have to take it. And that's it. If they get mad, they get mad. I'll try to be more sensitive because I do have a sense of humor. I love telling jokes. I'll tell you this one later on that I think I'm making a video, but then I'm thinking, how can I do it to be more sensitive? Because I don't want to offend everybody either. Because if you go around offending everybody, then you're left all alone, right? Like I don't want that either. But at the same time, I like to joke. I like to have fun.
No, but listen,
I'm not gonna talk like that ever again. Okay?
no, Adam, listen. If you made another video now talking like that, okay,
Yeah.
he would see the humor in it. He would, okay. At the time, I spoke with Jaren, I spoke with you, I saw everything that was going on,
Right.
and you both saw the other guy's point of view because you explained things to each other a little bit more because you were both a little bit calmer, okay.
Hmm.
And you understood, you both understood each other's position. You understood why he was offended. He understood what you were doing and how he was offended, having misinterpreted what you were doing, which was you were playing a dumb guy, not a mentally retarded person.
Right.
I personally
That's the thing. I was just going to add this, that any comedy, I mean, I'm a big comedy fan. I'm sure lots of people who are watching this will watch stand-up comedy, especially in Britain. It seems more popular than live music at the moment, but there we go. On any good live comedy set, the best jokes are right on the knife edge. They're really, it's true. Those are the ones that get the biggest laughs, and sometimes it costs people their careers when they get it wrong. Now, personally, I don't think you did. I think you were right on the edge, but I don't think you were over it. But that's just my personal view.
How about I make a really funny video and just send it to you guys, and I claim no responsibility for that. Never mind.
Okay, this is what I think, guys. To wrap this up with Adam and Jaren, okay? Both of you are good people, okay? And nobody meant to offend the other. The intention of their actions was not to offend another, okay? Yeah. Jaren didn't mention you on Globebusters and have been unsubbed from you to offend you. That's not why he did it, okay?
No, he didn't. Yeah, you're right.
And you didn't do that voice to offend him. Yeah. And like you say, when somebody is already stressed, things are going to happen differently. You're going to your perspective on the real world is going to change if you're stressed, So it's good that things happened. In fact, I remember saying to you, at the end of this, you're going to end up stronger. And there you are, okay?
Sure.
It's because this is how the world works,
Yeah.
If you never fall, then you don't know what it's like to get up, okay?
Yeah, that's true.
So,
that's true.
Yeah, and the thing with the people out there, this is a debate. This is not a debate. This was a conversation about how peer pressure forces people to stay within parameters that are preset by entities that you don't know about. Okay, so unless you know about the Council of Nicaea and the books that were discarded and what books were used and who wrote those books and where those books came from, unless you know all of those details, then you can't say that you know the entities behind Christianity.
Okay.
You can't.
Can I say something?
With the globe. Sure, sure.
And I think it kind of goes back to one thing, but I think it's a great thought one of the thoughts to leave off with is one thing that I've learned, and I'm still learning, is when I decided to start, okay, what is truth, and I started questioning things, even in my own faith, because I wanted to get rid of all the impurities. I just didn't want garbage anymore. And I still have garbage to get rid of. Some Christians got mad at me, right? And they basically disowned me. And I was treated like garbage just for questioning. If they would have just sat down and reasoned with me and showed me a point of view, maybe I'd been like, okay, maybe you're right. But I was treated like garbage. And then I had to sit down, and with all the little pieces that I felt were shattered, I had to find out what I wanted to keep and what didn't I want to keep. And then take those things that I wanted to keep and say, okay, God, can you do something with this? Because I feel rejected. So why, because I was rejected by the church in many ways, why would I judge the world harshly that doesn't even claim to be Christians, that doesn't even claim to know my God? Why would I sit in judgment of them? I just can't do it. I can't sit there in a chat and condemn somebody that doesn't even claim to be a Christian because they don't have my point of view. Why would I do that? God showed mercy on me. Why the heck can't I show mercy on somebody that doesn't even know the God I say I believe in?
That's a good point. I hope some of the Christians out there heard this and had me in mind. So, damn it, that just knocked another thought out of my head. I can only have one thought in my head at a time. Okay, so Adam, when you say your church, what is your church? What denomination?
What do you mean?
What denomination is it?
Well, I don't want to say, because some of them kind of watch, so I don't want to say that. No, I'll tell you off the air. I don't want to say.
But, oh, we see peer pressure here dictating your behavior.
No, it's not. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. I'm not going to do it because I'm really hoping one day there can be some reconciliation and we can talk and sit down and actually debate this stuff properly. Yeah. Because there's already a lot of hurt, and I've grown a lot, and I believe I can sit down and make an actual case that maybe they'll listen to.
I have a question for you. Okay, supposing that as more people discover that the world is actually flat, okay, which is an absurd thing to discover, and yet all of us went through that, okay?
Right.
When people realize that the Earth is actually flat, that it was made. As people look into it and further proofs understood and displayed and studied and verified, if it comes to the point where it starts saying the Bible is not true, by virtue of those truths, real truths that can be studied, verified, tested, if it comes to the point where it says the Bible is not true, what do you think will happen to the Christian world?
It's always been like that. I mean, it's always been like things come out to say the Bible's not true. I mean, you had the heliocentric model for 500 years, them teaching in Bible school that the creation of the Bible explains it's a myth. You've always had that. So that's why it always comes down to faith. I mean, they'll say, oh, we found Jesus' bones, or we found this and that. But it always comes down to faith, always, 100% of the time. They can say whatever they want, whatever.
So have you heard of George Carlin, the comedian?
Doesn't ring a bell, but I might if you say some of what he said.
He did a joke about, he was quite an acerbic comedian, and he made a joke about how politicians are bullshitters, but how nobody can hold bullshit like religion That's the thing that takes the title of the biggest bullshitters, because they have people convinced that there is a bearded guy in the sky who...
I never said he had a beard.
No, 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 no. But wait, please. This is what George Carlin
Anyways,
said. George
okay,
Carlin
okay.
said, there's a bearded guy in the sky who knows everything you do, who approves and disapproves of you, and who always needs money. Okay? Now, he's making a joke, but what he's saying is, as bullshit goes, if somebody told you a story that you can never verify, that there is no way of ever actually checking whether it is true or not true, if that story was about Gandalf and you believed that it was true, you wouldn't know that it wasn't. And it's the same with religion. All of the religions.
Well, no, I disagree, because Jesus, you know, people, the churches want you to give, not all, okay, but they want you to give them your money so you can be blessed back at your hundredfold blessing and give all the stuff. But Jesus told you, you know, to give to the poor and give your stuff away. So what Jesus said is not what a lot of churches are doing. So I don't think Jesus was a bullshitter, because he said if you have 2 tunics and one needs it, give one to the person that needs it. So what Jesus was talking about is, in many parts, is not what's going on out today. So what you described is not my Jesus.
This is the thing. If your Jesus is not the same as everybody else's Jesus, then which Jesus is the real Jesus?
Because I'm doing it for free. I don't know. I don't want a darn thing from anybody. I'm on nobody's payroll. And you know what? Don't send me your money. I don't want it. Go find someone on the street that needs something and give it to them. Go bless the widows and orphans. I don't want your money, and I don't need a BA or a theological degree. I don't need that to tell somebody that Jesus loves you. So YouTube is free.
So yes. So what I'm saying, my question is, if your Jesus is different to everybody else's Jesus...
I didn't say everybody. I said many. Maybe I said everybody. That's not what I meant.
Okay, but wait. Let me just clarify that. If your Jesus is different to everybody else's Jesus, given that everybody else has a personal relationship and a personal concept of Jesus, so it is different to everybody else. In fact, there aren't 2 people in this earth that can have the same concept of Jesus. It's not possible, because we're all unique, and the way we perceive and conceive of things is unique. So which one is true? Is the one that is true?
Can I ask you something? When I first started to get to know you, right?
Yeah.
I saw you a different way. I thought you were a bit of a jerk. But now that I know you, I know that you just like to egg people on because you like to talk. So my concept of you, I knew you back then, but I know you better now, right? Yeah. So some people, maybe the Jesus they know now, they have to mature a little bit, and instead of taking from people, start giving. So I'm sure when I know you a year from now, my concept of you will change a little bit more, because our relationship has grown. And I'll know that, you know what, he's not a bad guy. He's still a jerk, but he's okay.
that is what you'll think.
So, but your concept changes. Like the Jesus that I knew a year ago was still Jesus, but I've grown with him, and I understand him a bit more, because it's a relationship, right? And that's my faith. The same as with you. I'm growing with you because we're talking more and more, and I understand you more and more, and that's it. That's how it is, you know?
Yeah, but, okay, let me see if I can illustrate my point a little bit better. Imagine that I was telling you about how Gandalf is my lord.
You love the Gandalf, I think. Go on.
Yes, yeah, he's cool. And he comes back from the dead too. Not only does he fight a demon that spent thousands of years to make it to the surface world, and throws him back down, and fights with him, and eventually kills him in the world underneath this flat world. Okay?
He comes back as Gandalf the White, yeah.
So, yes, so the Lord of the Rings is a flat earth novel, okay? So that's what Gandalf does, and he dies, and then he comes back to life to help to bring people to the light, to goodness, and he ushers in an era of goodness, okay? So I think that Gandalf is my lord, and if I tell you about my lord and what my lord Gandalf thinks about the world, not says, but thinks, his opinions, his value judgments about the world, because that's what I interpret that he thinks, or that's what I glean, or that's what happens in my dreams, or that's what he whispers in my ears, you might say I'm talking gibberish, just because other people don't believe in Gandalf. And to be honest with you, that's what the Jewish people think about Christians, because they don't believe a word about the Jesus stuff. So they think they're all talking gibberish, okay? And and the same with the Krishna and anybody else who has a very different concept, okay? So I'm saying, just like I can say that Gandalf and that my relationship with Gandalf is changing, you can say the same about Jesus. It doesn't mean that your quality as a human being increases or decreases. It's your actions that dictate your worth, and only to yourself, not to somebody else. As soon as you start thinking that others' opinion of you matters, you start to behave to please them, and then you'll be in a church, okay? So what I'm saying is, you're a good guy without, I was going to say regardless, without Jesus. You're a good guy with Jesus. I'm a good guy with Gandalf, and I'm also a good guy without Gandalf. And Nathan is the only one here who's a real sinner.
I'm not a sinner. I'm a good guy.
Look at that lack of humility.
Yeah. He's got that grin.
Okay, guys, should we wrap it up? Because Ace McCloudy is having a slumber party. Anybody in chat who wants to go to a slumber party, you have
Are
to
they having a pillow fight?
Make sure you all wear robes if you're appearing on camera.
Yes, so please, cameras, please, anybody who's not been in a hangout, go into his hangout. You know, it'd be nice to meet. If you want to come into the hangout and call me a cretin and all kinds of words, very judgmental and very non-Christian, then you're welcome.
Hold on. Gandalf died and came back. You should now be Antonio the White. Start wearing white, man.
No,
because you should model after your savior Gandalf.
No, I am a Gandalfino.
I'm sending you a staff. I'm gonna buy a staff, and it's coming your way.
I love it. I'm waiting for that flute from church on the dome. Anyway,
wrap it
I
up.
am a Gandalfino, and anybody who says a word against Gandalf will receive the wrath of Undumiel. So there you go. Ilúvatar. That's who, the big god in the Lord of the Rings. But anyway, anybody who wants to go to Ace McCloud's, go to Ace McCloud's channel. He's got a hangout. See if you can get in, because once it's full, it's full. And I'm going to be there. I don't know if Patricia will, but I'm going to be there in my bathrobe. Nathan's going to be there in his bathrobe or his pajamas. Don't know about Adam. But anybody who wants to go, feel free to call me all kinds of names. It's okay. Jesus forgives me, and I take comfort in that. So,
do you accept? Never mind. That's a better. Are you gonna wear? No. Are you gonna wear a red bathrobe?
No, mine is kind of shit. It's kind of beige. Not very nice. I hope it brings my colour out.
All right. Bye. See you.
Yeah, but anybody in the chat who wants to go to Ace McCloud's, go to Ace McCloud's. I'm going there pressively. So, thank you very much for paying attention, for all the arguments that have been going on in chat, all the back and forth. Nobody here is actually evil. I don't mean Nathan, me, and Adam. Us three obviously are evil, but everybody out there, if you think that there's a God that approves and disapproves of you, that's unlucky for you, as far as I see it.
There must be some small, deeply offensive thing that you can get in right at the end, Antonio. There must be something.
And I won't say a thing. Just get it in there, and I'll keep quiet, okay?
Okay. This is what
you get the last word, Nathan. Or so you get the last word, Antonio.
Okay.
Okay, I'm letting you have the last word. Go.
Oh, nearly. So this is what I'll say. This was not. This was not intended to offend anyone. If you find yourself offended by people putting questions about your religion, forgive that person putting questions. Forgive that person bad-mouthing your religion. Forgive them, okay? For they know not what they do, okay?
Antonio knows not what he does. Okay, I'm quiet now. I'm quiet.
Oh, yeah. Yes. No, what I'm saying is, the point of this was not to offend people, okay? If anything, it was to try to have people question, because once you realize when you leave the globe, you're free of the external world's bullshit. When you leave your religion, you're free of the internal world bullshit. You arrive at the same point. Jesus is not the salvation, death is. And I bet you anything that the pearly gates, the way into heaven, is you go through the pearly gates, and there's a slide, like a water slide, and you go into this water slide and you come out between your next mother's legs, so no wonder you cry. Bye all.